It's going down like this, motherfucker.
This shit is crazy.
Nigga get mad. Say, motherfucker, what you mean you ain't gonna let me in this funky joint? Much money I done spent in here, nigga. I knew your mama when she was horn. Huh, baby. Shit, bet I do it over time. Say that, nigga. Shit. Bet the bar, off time. Shit, boy, I'm trying to make me some money. Boy, I'm hungry as a hog need. Slap Jesus. Shit, gotta be a Jesus, cause too many black folks.
For what he has, he says that the only way that we can solve our problem is to unite together among ourselves, among our own kind, clean ourselves up, rid ourselves of the evils that we've become addicted to here in this society, and try and...
Yes, he destroy black boys. If you destroy him as a boy, he'll never become a man. Yes, he destroy black boys. 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 If you destroy him as a boy, he'll never become a man.
This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. Loud. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. Loud enough. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying.
I just left a light in this bitch. I'm finna hit the shop in this shit.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with her, man. No, her mind is fucked.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with her.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with her, man. No, her mind is fucked. God damn it, shit.
Well. Gotta get a piece of mind.
Your feet. He looked down, seen her feet. The nigga went berserk, killed the monkey, threw the bat out the window, start kicking that bitch in the air.
Say anyway, but I will. The way quantum entanglement works is that you can take two particles, quantum entangle them, and then take those two particles and move them at any distance in the cosmos. And let's just say, for example, if you quantum entangle two electrons and you have them spinning in the same direction, and then you take one of those electrons and you shoot that thing out 100,000 light years from the original. If you then rotate the spin on the one electron, if you modify it so that its spin changes, the quantum entangled electron at any distance will simultaneously in no time switch its rotation also, because they're quantum entangled. So these communication systems are taking advantage of this aspect of quantum mechanics that most people can't wrap their heads around, and this is what they're utilizing. It's just the new level of science that affords us the ability to communicate at any distance instantaneously.
You don't understand. You don't understand. It's cool enough just being cool, like I am, chilling.
Group of you together, you never can. Group of you together, you never can tell who's who.
I've seen a lot of black guys, Nipsey, but you're overdoing it.
Plus, I'm in love with a bitch I can't stand.
I mean, TikTok. A lot of the white content creators on TikTok get all of their dances from the black content creators.
You're a philosopher? Yes. You're a philosopher? Yes. You're a philosopher? Yes. I think very deeply.
Dance with me.
Dad.
You got to pray to God and tell God your rent due. Any God that didn't know your rent was due ain't God. Damn white boys out there. Most of them is psychopaths and all that. They'll kill your mama's mama. And you decent white folk that still don't know they're racist. What the hell you want here, hunky?
Don't know me want it. I don't mean to be out of, mean to be rude, mean to be rude. I don't mean to be out of line.
Your lines are still open. Oh shit, you can get it, nigga. You wanna get it?
Come with baggage, just ask Louis Vuitton.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that was nice.
I like that.
Bitch niggas, hoe niggas, rich niggas, broke bitch. I told niggas this was on, yeah, right here. Come with baggage.
The Chinese platform, you already know they don't give a fuck about your black ass. And then
I think we OD. I think we OD.
My word, can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. That's the difference when you're mine.
You got the.
Use a snort cocaine, now I fiend for the check, yeah.
Like I said, you go to the history of European civilizations. 250 years is how long they last before they implode because of their greed, because of their violence, because of an inability to let others be, including themselves. If they didn't have brown and black people to hate, they would hate themselves.
I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I hit the loot juice. It pulls up in the heavy. I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I come in. I hit the loot juice. It pulls up in the heavy. I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I hit the loot juice. It pulls up in the
Slapping folks is satisfying. She don't like me, but I didn't know. Guess it was underlying.
Lean and walk, lean, walk, lean, walk. To the east, to the north, to the west, to the south, above, below, and the middle. Greetings. This is Big Pontiac, and welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins, and I am that one and only Galactic Daddy-O, welcoming each and every one of you to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe. Well, that's my cue to come on in and say Guten Morning. At least I think that's how you say it. That's how them Nazis would say it, Guten Morning. So you guys know how I start off. I start off with a very refreshing beverage. And so, it's no surprise I got this motherfucking Llailia nest. Great Lakes. So pop them if you got them. Yeah, these cans always fizz up. The bottles don't fizz up that much. And let's get this motherfucker going, because I've got that hot wax for you, baby. I got that hot wax up in there, baby. I'm about to get some more, and I probably won't even go through this all through the week. That's there, fine. What was I gonna do? Oh, let's fire this motherfucker up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I look forward to the Timberwolves playing tomorrow. They play. It's like these late season games. The Timberwolves game means something. These motherfuckers got to win the conference, because they could drop down all the way to third seed. So we'll see how they have it fixed. I doubt they'll let the Timberwolves go through, but we never know. We never know if they're gonna let them go through or not. So we'll see. We'll see if they let them through, but more than likely they won't. You can tell this shirt's been on a hanger for a long time. Oh shit! I haven't worn this bitch in a while. All right. It'd be all right, fuck it. It's just a t-shirt. Does it got the smoking pocket? Got the smoking pocket. I said before, my daughter's grandfather, this motherfucker would start the day. You know how the shirts had the double pockets. This motherfucker would have 2 packs. And the nigga would smoke the packs. I don't get that. It's like, I don't get how. So again, we've got the Luca, Unicorn Luca. Smoke them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. I started the day off, listening to Turtle Gang. He went on for 4 or 5 hours. Great person to listen to. He has a lot of good indigenous information. And he points out, people that are on certain sides that ain't really for us. They're faking the funk. And I can't sit here and say that I am cool with Turtle Gang. He gave me the time walking papers. I've only given them to one other person. That's my brother, and I don't even know if he still has them. I gave them to him so long ago. But he's, somebody I check out and listen to. Let me see who sent me this. I have a dynamite video I want to play. It's long as fuck, but it is definitely dynamite. But I'm gonna play it in a little while. But so I think, I know Jeffrey sends me stuff, but Macbone, he sent me something. So I'm gonna play a little bit of and I want y'all to get this shit. I definitely want y'all to take the time to listen to all of it, because it's under Bishop John Tatum. It's under him. So, Brother Tatum, I hope you don't mind me sharing this work, because I think the people need to hear this. So, I'm going to play a little bit of it. I'm going to play some other shit first. But I hope everybody, today was smooth for you. It was 70-some degrees here today. Let's see. Right now it's 63 degrees, 64 degrees tomorrow. It's supposed to rain tonight. So tomorrow's going to be a little cooler, but 67 is still nice. Or 74. It's going to be 74 later today. We're going to have a little bit of rain, it looks like, later tomorrow night. And so it should be fine Monday unless it's wet. So it's going to be a little cooler next week. By next Saturday, it's going to go back down to 43. And I am seeing Ryan Davis next Friday night. I think that is. We're going to see Ryan Davis. And then on 420, my son turns the big 29. I think 95, wouldn't that? Yeah, 95. The nigga be 30. So, I have 2 children that have birthdays in April. My one son just turned 26, and this joker's going to turn 29. So, yeah. So right now, like I said, it's It's nice here, y'all. 64. I got the fan on. I got both windows open. So, the winter is the weather is such unpredictable here. So, let's see if I can go back. Will it take me back? No, I just erase here. Okay, I'll bring that back up. So I hope everybody had a relaxing time. It's Saturday, and those of you that don't work and that have the days off, I hope you're able to, get the rest, because the rest is it's meant for a way of recovery. I mean, people don't realize when the Industrial Revolution started, they had people literally working 16, 17-hour days. They had children working like that. And this ain't slavery. And see, that's another problem with slavery that people don't understand. Okay, this is something y'all don't understand. When it's 110 outside, niggas ain't working. Because you're going to have people passing out left and right. And so you don't think the people adjusted to the work? And people don't realize this about slavery. Once everything was all picked, and everything was harvested, which is picked, and everything is sent out, these niggas was off. They was off generally during the winters. Look it up. Ooh, motherfuckers dropped some money today. Damn, motherfuckers dropped some money. Let's look at this. Now, when I talk about investing in stuff, you got to learn, there's always a risk. And look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin was up to 70. It was up to 70. We looked at it last week. This shit was 70. And look at the drop. Look at this drop. It was up to 70. We looked at this last week. This motherfucker was up to 70. So I don't know what this is showing, but we saw this shit last week where it was 70. Where we at? Maybe I ain't been on since it was 70, but this motherfucker was at 70. So a matter of fact, when I came on last, it was 71,000. So you see how big a drop right here, 3,000 since, this must've been Friday closing. And what, and I'm gonna tell you one tell is, if Bitcoin drops, you can bet Ethereum drops. That's one thing to watch. If Bitcoin drops, Ethereum drops. Now we can see all this red up here. So everything, and now I'm not showing what the Dow closed. Maybe this. Now gold was, it says gold dropped $12. So gold dropped $12. But again, your gold is still worth $2,300. And this is gold you wear. Now silver you wear, sterling is not worth that much. So don't go into some pawn shop and thinking you're going to get money for sterling. Sterling is not worth that much. But pure gold, pure silver is. And so, as you can see, we can see a downward trend. So it's not just gold. Everything seems to be affected. But again, your gold, what was this? At 10 was 30, 32. What was this? 48. So it got almost to 250. It was almost up to 250. So again, your gold is worth more than what you probably paid for. So what you probably paid for, gold is worth a lot more. So if you get in a bind, don't let them tell you your gold ain't worth more, because it is. And they even have to admit this shit. Well, yeah, because they're getting a rush of people. But yeah, I want to play this, but I guess I can fuck around and talk about some other shit until I play this. So we know the Timberwolves, as I said before, the Timberwolves play the Sun tomorrow, and I think it's here. So that should be interesting. I caught a little bit of the football game. Let me see. Where am I? I'm high. Okay. I caught a little bit of the football game. Didn't watch any basketball today. Didn't really watch any sports. Again, nothing really counts, kinda. So didn't watch much sports. Caitlin Clark was on Saturday Night Live. It was kind of funny. They wrote her some good lines. Country singer, I don't know who the fuck that was, but hey, I guess some people like it, And it's interesting, country, like, you have to know that there's people melanated people have been on, like the Grand Ole Opry. They said the Grand Ole Opry is not going to let her come on the Grand Ole Opry. Now, I've been in the Grand Ole Opry. I've watched shows in there before. Niggas always been going up in there. There was a dude, what was his name? He was a harmonica. But he was so popular in country that they brought him on, and people was surprised when it was a nigga. So they let him come on because he was so popular. So for them to say melanated people ain't played on the Grand Ole Opry, come on. And I'm not one way or the other for her. I don't have that shit. I don't listen to her country songs. And you can't force yourself, but we'll see. Yeah, I want to play this, but I'll play this later. So I had a pretty casual day today. I was supposed to go play pickleball, but my fucking knee blew up. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like going up and down the stairs was rough on me, so I couldn't really do too much today. So I had plans on playing pickleball, but wasn't able to do that. So I didn't get to do as much as I thought, didn't get to walk or anything. So now when I walk, I'm probably going to have to wear a knee brace on my right leg. And we did a lot of walking yesterday. That's probably why my knee was blowed up. So didn't get to do what I thought I was going to get to do today, but that's okay. I got to spend time with my wife and my daughter. So that's all I care about, My brother-in-law wanted me to come over, and, it's like when I have my daughter, and he was having the fellas over. And again, my daughter's, that's her uncle. So she's comfortable going over there, but it wasn't really kind of a family thing. It was kind of just for niggas, So I didn't make it. I'm not that big on, what is IF, whatever, the wrestling, kickboxing. I'm not really that big in it. So I like boxing better than I like the kickboxing shit. I'm not really a great fan or interest of it. But my brother-in-law, he really likes that shit. So I wasn't able to make it to his house. Again, I'm going to spend time with my daughter if we can't do something that involves all of us. Oh, I guess I can fuck around and talk about it. Okay, I'll do this next. Yeah, I'll do this next. I'll save this, and I'll bring up this. Yeah, let's find it. Let's see, what can I get? All right, so, this is Monkey Man. If you didn't know, I guess Rotten Tomatoes went decent. This was the main actor. A lot of these cats, if you watch these movies, these niggas is in all the same movies. But this is the guy that played in Monkey Man right here. This was the star. Trying to think. Let me see if I can find any highlights. I'm really, I really wanted to see Civil War because it was in the IMAX or EMAX, whatever you have. I was outvoted. The ladies wanted to see Monkey Man. I think Civil War would have probably been an all-around better movie. The Monkey Man, it's slow in the beginning. It's extremely slow in the beginning. But what they kind of want you to get is the cross-cultural kind of relationship between the rich and the poor. They try to show you the things that the poor have to go through. I was trying to find some highlights. Maybe I can find something. Maybe it's just some highlights. I just really want to find some highlights. So it starts off, they call him Monkey Man because when he boxes and they wrap their hands, they just do, bare knuckle fighting with wrapped hands. And his character throws fights. And what we see is what the background and the cultural difference is. The government wanted his family's land. His family was farmers. They had their own land. The government wanted their land. And the government basically killed the people, burned them out. So he grew up poor, and he grows up poor, and he's willing to do anything. And I know this is, the movie is funny because this guy basically kills his mother and sets her on fire. And I know, it doesn't sound funny, but it is funny because as a little boy, he goes and tries to put the mother out with his hands, and you later see his hands all burned up and shit. But it's like he hit her with his hands. I mean, come on, nobody's that silly. Everybody knows you get something, but you're not going to use your hands. So they show his hands all fucked up. So that's so what they're trying to give you is the cultural background of what the difference is between the haves and the have-nots, and what the have-nots have to do to survive. Again, he fights, and you can see he has some skill, but he's paid to lose fights. So that's what he's paid for. He's paid to lose fights. So then he kind of he has a plan where he wants to kill the commissioner that killed his mama, basically, you know. And in the background, they have this Raji, if that's the right word. I know Haji was in Johnny Quest and shit, but they have this guy that's running the country, and he's responsible for what happened to his parents. So his idea is to sneak in this club, get at their confidence, and then kill the chief of police. So he tries to do all this, but he's not successful. They capture him, but he kind of escapes. And when he escapes, he's handcuffed, but he jumps in the water. Now, earlier, they tell you that there's a part of town they don't mess with. So they don't mess with the trans people in the area. That's one thing they tell you, is they don't mess with the trans people. Okay. So he wakes up around the trans people, and they heal him, and then he has time to fully work out. Now, when it comes from the Equalizer, Roberto, and when it comes to John Wick, as you see with John Wick quit the business, but he was right into kicking ass. Because when them three dudes come in his house, they may have killed his dog, but he fucked them dudes up when they left. Remember, he fights the shit out of them, and then they leave. Kill his dog. Roberto gets shot in the ass. After about a couple of weeks, Roberto's back kicking ass. So, this guy trains. And again, we've got all this political stuff of the haves and the have-nots. They show the girls that's got a hoe and all this stuff because, you know, again, to survive. So it basically comes down to he fights everybody. And finally, his kicks is like fucking John Wick's kicks. He's whooping ass. He goes in there. I was trying to find some pictures and shit. Let me see if I can, how do I turn this shit off? This shit comes on. Okay. Commercial. Okay, I think I can get a few highlights just to show you. So again, this is this motherfucker's goal. And he doesn't kill him. Look at this shit, and he doesn't kill him. He doesn't kill him. Look at this shit, and he doesn't kill him. Now make this make sense. He don't kill this motherfucker. Right here, he got the gun. I'm shoot him in the head, and it's all over. But again, he looks, you know, he gets distracted, and they get to fighting and shit. This is the police chief that killed his mother. So, I don't know, y'all. And all of a sudden, again, it's very social, economical. This is a picture of him and his mother on their property running through the woods and shit. So he's really happy and shit. So you dig? So they always flash back to that, having their own property and stuff. And this is another person that where'd she go? But he shows the excess too. He shows the excess of the wealthy. I saw the other, okay. No, where's she at? Okay, every time I click, it takes it off of her. Yeah, I can't get her. Trying to see some social shit in here I can show. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It's called Monkey Man. And again, what I forgot to, okay. So I've said before, you know, I really relate to the Monkey King. I think I'm a version of the Monkey King. And there's another monkey that's in the Hindus practice. It's called Human. And Human is the type of, he suffers a lot the same way the Monkey King does. So you can see that it's technically the same individual, but this one is, you know, pure love. But again, he helps his people conquer. So in the movie, we see that that his people worship Human. And after end of the movie, when he fights the main guru, you see a big poster a big mural of Human helping their people conquer the other people. So you have that underlining of you know, him being called the Monkey King. Let me see if I can get this. Stop at this. Let's see. It's so quick. Here we go. So let's get it back. All right. I messed up. I messed up. Where did he go? Let's see if I see another. Okay, it's right. Right here. So this is Human. This is Human, and basically, again, he's all about pure love. He's punished by the gods. The story is very similar to the Monkey King, but this is who it's kind of based on, and this is who, you know, if you look at what kind of energy he had, he's giving out this kind of energy. All right. So after training, he can whoop ass. So he goes back in the ring and he just kicks niggas' ass. Like he fights the first person that's the champion that he threw the fight to, and he whoops his ass in one punch. Like, this dude is the champion. He beats the champion in one punch. So they bring this bigger dude out and he whoops the bigger dude's ass. You dig? So he's a new guy. All of a sudden, he's a new guy. And he basically goes up to the club. I'm trying to find this, let me see, the Hindu dude he kills at the end. Where's the Hindu dude? And so, you know, my daughter's like, monkey, and that's racist. And what's interesting, in the background of the clubs, you see the Maharajas and shit, you know, the old ruling class. You know, they kind of remind you of the caste system, that they're all kind of under a caste system. So you see the old Maharajas and shit in the back. And let me see any more highlights of the guy he kills at the end. And look at this scene. Now, if you don't think magenta don't be in these shots, why is magenta in the background? I mean, this is like, this makes no sense. Why is the lighting magenta? So again, we see this same bullshit, you know, that they even got to do. And that's my thing when I look at anime. Why does anime use the cult? That's what I don't understand, is why does anime use the cult? Yeah, and they don't show him kill this nigga in the end. Is there any pictures of the guy? So I don't know, y'all. What can I give this movie? I don't know, y'all. It was a boring movie. It was a really boring movie until the last 10 or 15 minutes. That was the last scene is the best, where he goes in the club and he kicks ass, and then you see his people dressed up. The trans people come in and they help him kick ass in this main club. And then he kills the guru or whatever the fuck. He ends up killing him. And but he's John Wick. He's John Wick for like 15 minutes. And so it's, I mean, I don't even know. To say the point of the movie, it wasn't action until the end. Now, my wife loved it, and the points in it, it is some good spiritual and understanding. Again, if you understand and you're interested in the Monkey King, it does give you a little bit of that. But overall, I wouldn't have been mad just watching it when it came out. I wouldn't have been mad. So I'll give it a 4. Out of 10, I really have to say I give it a 4 because it was okay. So, D-Ron Battle, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming in.
Got to have vision.
And then we got Marcus the Great. What's happening?
Got to have vision.
Jamar 3224. What's happening?
Got to have vision.
And Jesus Saves, thank you for coming in.
Got to have vision.
As you know, I am your host, Flint Pontiac, and this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. And you know,
what I do is I have everybody come to the mountain, then I put them on that electric F-150 and take you to the galactic patio because I am the galactic daddy-o, and we only do one dance. That's right, the cosmic slop. We only do the cosmic slop, and there's only one rule.
Don't touch my...
Leave that F-150 lightning alone, but if you do... Thank you, Sly Stone, and the 600,000 people at Woodstock for we to take you higher. You know, I'm going to play this video, y'all, and this is some dynamite. I'm going to break it up because it is long, but I'm going to break it up and I'll talk. But I want to start this video. I think it's, I don't know, I might just talk shit to it, but it's a deep video I want to play for y'all. Maybe you saw it before. It's funny, you know. It's really funny how people think, how do I say this without sounding cold? Okay, I'll start with this. See, people, okay. Like someone was talking about the 42 rules of Mayat, but it's easy to practice. Like what Mayat tries to teach you is being emotionless. So, and that's a lot of kind of like what lucid living does, where you become, it's like you almost watch the movie play out. Like you know it's a movie, so you watch it. And the chick that stole the name from Timothy Freak, she calls herself Lucid Living. You stole that from Timothy Freak. But anyway, that's what it is. That's what lucid living is. You become where you can just sit back and dig, and then life plays out. And you love life because it's life, if you can dig it. And so, like personally, like my mother had asked me something like I've said before, my daughter's graduating. She's going to have a party in June. And when she had the party, we're driving somewhere like 2 weeks later. We're taking a vacation 2 weeks later. So it's like, I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I don't know. Because as she said, people know when they graduate, you only get so many tickets. And I'm sure, my stepmother and my father have bought my ex, her mother, 2 cars. Not 1 car, bought 2 cars. And this bitch can't send my children gifts. But she can buy $20,000 cars for a person that ain't even a relative. I guess she figures it's child support, but I do pay child support. But this bitch ain't never helped me like that. Not that I needed to help, but I didn't. And a matter of fact, I didn't even need gifts from her. It's just, if you want to stay in these people's lives, they never say, well, can they come spend the summer with us? They never offered that. This is my mother and my stepmother. My father and my they never offered for any of my children to come and spend time with them this summer. Can you bring the boys and just let the boys stay? Now, my son that lives with me, they wouldn't have wanted him. When he was little, he was a bad motherfucker, so I don't know if I could have sent him. He'd have been fucking their house up. But it's like, when it comes to my yard, it's a lot of things I just don't give a fuck about. Like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, when my mother asked me, was I going to go to my daughter's graduation party? I'm like, we going on vacation, not long after her party. So I don't know, I don't know if I can go there and then try to go somewhere else. That just doesn't make sense. And my mother was upset. And so I guess my daughter told my mother they really want me to come. Then my daughter texted me, well, I really don't want you to come to my party. And I'm like, okay. Now my wife's upset. My mother's upset. Because my mother was going to drive with me. Now she's got to fly. But it's like, that shit don't hurt my feelings. And that's my mom's like, are you okay? I'm like, come on now. Why would that hurt my feelings? I mean, here's a child that I paid multiple monies to. I pay child support. It's going to end in May. We're going to see. Cause I might have to sue the county down there. Because, Allegheny County is one of the poorest counties in America. And they've been stealing from me because they technically are stealing from me. And so she graduates in May. The child support's got to end by then because she ain't in school no more. But that kind of thing doesn't hurt my feelings. It's like, you didn't let this child come spend summers with me? Now, my 28-year-old son, 26-year-old son, his mom didn't do the same thing. And this is what's fucked up. The mothers use their children because, again, this is what they're scared of. You might like it too much. I'll let you go with him, and you might like it too much. And I remember she was around us and she said, see the advantage you have of being the only child? I think most children would like to come from big families and sit around a table and got all these sisters and brothers. My 12-year-old daughter, she's experienced that, where she sat in the high chair with her brothers all around. My oldest son came here and lived with me for 2 years. So he's exposed to all this. He's exposed to a big family. And it's like my other children missed out. And there's no other way to say it. You missed out. Now, my one son, again, he was a only child the years my son, because they're I think they're 9 years apart between because he's about to be, this year he'll be 35, and then 26 and 35. So you see, they're 9 years apart. So he's experienced, he knows his sisters and brothers. He was here when my youngest daughter was born. He was at the hospital. And that's, and that's the fucked up thing, is that, women try to use your children against you. Like, she's like, are you going to send Christmas gifts? And I'm like, bitch, I send you money every week. What the fuck are you talking about, Christmas gifts? I'm supposed to send extra? Now, I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but I feel that way. I'm like, bitch, buy some gifts with the money I give you. I know a lot of y'all might think that's selfish, but that's real. I send you all this money, go buy her, because I don't know what she wants. You buy her, take the money I give you and buy her gifts and say they're from me, because you already get money from me. So, so that's what we see happening. And it's like I said, that don't make me feel I feel neutral about it. It don't hurt my feelings one bit. I'm only sharing experience, that's all. But it's not, to me, it's like I love them regardless. I love them regardless. And I think it's a shame they didn't get to spend their summers here. I spent summers with my grandmother. I mean, I really did. When I was a little boy, my mother's mother, I spent time with them. I spent time with my great-grandparents. You dig? So they don't get to, they didn't really get to hang out with my mother. My mother's 83 years old. So now my mother's going to have to fly there. But my point is women try to use children as weapons. And that's unfair to everybody. It's unfair to the child because it's going to make them think a certain way. It's unfair to all the relatives that wish they could know them. Like, my daughter literally thinks her sister hates her. They ain't talked since the last time they was around each other. And I think that was at one of the reunions years ago. Like, my daughter Snapchats her brothers and fucks with them, and she has a relationship with them. But with this girl, and this is how fucked up a person my ex is. They came here to see me. Her mother came here to give me some pussy. Let's say what it is. Her mother came here to give me some pussy. She brought my daughter along so I could get some. All right? And so my daughter was like, at the time, I think my daughter was 6 or 7. She was so excited they came here and wanted to spend the night with them. And you know what this bitch told me? This bitch told me, well, we don't really like children that much. I mean, they didn't want her to come and to spend the night with them. I mean, and it blew my mind. I mean, here's this loving little girl that's looking up to her sister and wants to spend time with her. And this bitch tells them, we don't really like children that much. And then they had her niece, my cousin's first cousin, got pregnant at 15, 16, had a baby. So they're around the baby. And guess who babysits the baby? They do. So, I mean, they're just really weird people. And I've said, Allegan County, you're talking about some of the baddest, dreadful, stifling energy I've ever been around. And I told you, this is how bad Allegan County was. I lived around a nigga named Nigga Charlie, and I've said this before. Nigga Charlie. This is what the motherfucker wanted to be known as. That's how bad it is down there. That a melanated person would let everybody in the world know he wants to be called Nigga Charlie. That's how bad it is and how sick it is to live in that small little broke-ass county. It's one of the worst places on earth to live. Man, I couldn't wait to leave that motherfucker. Me and my children, I got us the fuck out of there. Couldn't wait. Couldn't wait to get out of there. So, there are places in the world that just ain't for you to live. As much as I love Michigan, I saw that wasn't a place where I could achieve. I saw that everything I tried to do in Michigan, because I tried a million things. But I saw that everything I tried to do, nothing sparked. I come here, the opposite happens. Everything starts happening. Everything. All my goals, all my dreams start happening. And I've had them happen like as soon as I moved here, damn near. And this is holy ground I live on now. I live on a giant hill you can see from miles away. And the energy is here with the native people. You know, I play pickleball on the reservation. The energy is so high and feels so fresh and so good. And so people just don't understand. You know, children aren't a weapon to use against the other parent. That's not what children are for. Children are to let everybody love them that wants to love them. My wife loves my daughter. They love each, you know, my daughter has love for her, and that's how it should be. I see my main man from Saipan is in, PJ Allen. And you know, he always takes care of his.
My bitches. You saying you can't control your bitches? What?
And this is the hat he brought me when he went to Memphis. So, you know, I had to bust it out today. You know, it matches the little horseman here. I forgot he even had this shirt. I'm looking like, where the fuck this shirt come from? That's how many clothes I buy. So, I guess my point is, you know, anybody that wants to love children should be allowed to love them. They should be allowed to grow. And so, you know, it stifles them in a way that they don't get the chance to grow. All children should have the chance to grow. I mean, I spent summers, like I spent 2 or 3 weeks with my grandmother in the summer. And so, you know, I got to know all my aunts and uncles and my little cousins. I got to know all of them. Freshness indeed. And so, you know, that's what life is about. As you know all your relatives, you know, and you get to experience, you know, the large family. That's what it is. And so, you know, when I think about it, I feel sorry for my 2 children that didn't get to experience that. And I feel sorry that they didn't. They were sheltered. And both of they were sheltered because of their mother's stubbornness. Basically, their mother's trying to get back at me. Now, my first wife, you know, I cheated on her. Like, I be watching these videos where dudes, you know, catch their wives and shit. I remember my oldest daughter's mother. I fucked with this chick for 10 years while I was married to and with a couple other people. But it's like, we fucked and never got caught. I fucked her in her house, I fucked her in my house, and not one time did we get caught. Not one time. Now, she invited me early in the relationship. I didn't know. They were moving, and she took me to her house. Man came in, the man busted in on us. And, you know, like, I didn't have to whoop his ass. He whooped her ass. Now, was it up to me to stop him from whooping her ass? Not really, because she took off running, they took off running. But, you know, 2 weeks later, I'm bumping her up. And, you know, I probably, in the 10 years, in my old house, I mean, we was probably every other day. So out of 7 days, I was probably fucking her in my other house 3 times a week, at least. When we wasn't going to fuck in the cars. So it's funny, I watch these shows where people get caught. And, you know, other than that very first time when we really just started talking, and that didn't deter her. She was like, I remember her told me, he's like, shit, you do it to me more than he does. I'm like, well, he's gay. That's why he doesn't do it to you. Because this same motherfucker that she's with was caught getting like backfield in motion. Dude behind him tearing him up. That was her man. That was her man. Her man was, you know, he was a switch hitter, which didn't mind bending over for a motherfucker. And I remember one time, because the nigga used to, you know, it's funny about Battle Creek, Michigan. These niggas perm their hair forever. I mean, it was so funny seeing niggas in the 2000s with their hair permed, or even in the 80s, seeing niggas with their hair permed. Again, a lot of this was before Snoop Dogg. It's just these niggas lived in the, how do I say it? These niggas lived in the old times, so the shit was kind of funny. I'm too swift on my toes to get caught with you Joes. Indeed. Indeed. And so then, you know, what happens is people want comfort, people want security, and that's what she went for. You know, it was one time we was talking about getting together, and she, you know, the nigga tried to kill her. So she was thinking about getting together with me. He's trying to kill her and my daughter and her other son. You know, some people, it doesn't matter if the man tried to kill you or not, they still will stay with the man. And isn't that crazy? A man tries to kill you with a car, with the two children, even though one's mine, but you know, his name is on the birth certificate, but biologically she's mine, but he tried to kill all three of them. How do you forgive that? How do you forgive that? A person trying to kill you. How do you forgive that? Well, you know, you were just trying to kill me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You was just trying to kill me a little bit. How do you look at a motherfucker? How do you sleep at night knowing that he tried to kill you one time, but anything could happen, he might kill you in your sleep? So that I don't get, but hey, to you, honey. My oldest daughter's son plays football. Ain't none of them people, not none of her brothers, none of them people was football players. But yet her son, my daughter's son, want to play football. Where do you think he gets that from? And he ain't gonna be no big dude, because, you know, he's small like his mom. But it just shows you. It just shows you, you know? It just shows you. Like I said, the closest I almost got caught to getting caught was I had makeup on my face. I went to pick up my wife because I had the car, so there was no way she could come home. And I had makeup on my face because, you know, kissing her and shit, she was the kind of chick that was heavy with makeup, you know, just packed that shit on her face. And so it rubbed off and I got rouge on my face. So I'm pretty much busted. But I ain't never spread no disease, you know, motherfuckers give their, I know one nigga, he's dead now. But I remember he gave his wife some shit. You know, he was fucking hoes, you know, fucking prostitutes because he was a crack person, and his wife divorced him for it. So you know, it's like, dude, you're going into a fucking massage parlor and you're raw dogging somebody. Come on, you gotta have better sense than that. You gotta have better sense than that. I'm just having fun, y'all. I'm just venting. Because, you know, I am a very loving and caring person. I really am. And it's a shame that people won't let you love your children because of vengeance. Of vengeance. And, you know, that's what happens. That's what happens. Okay, let me see if I can get this back up, or I can just bring it back. Should just bring it back. Ah, you son of a bitch. Make me do it again. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, y'all want to, I'm going to play some of this. Now, MacBone Productions sent me this. So I'm going to break it up. So I'm not going to just play it off right because it's a lot of information. Again, I'm going to let you see who it is so that you can look it up yourself too. This is White Racism and Mental Illness by Dr. Llailia, Afrika. Bishop John J. Tatum. This is who video it is. Don't hit me, Mr. Tatum. I'm just trying to spread this. The goddamn phone record was the only way I could get caught. My wife thinks she's Columbo. I'm still 007. Ha! Oh, there goes my bell. L. Reban Amaru Khan. Thank you for joining.
Got to have vision.
And I'm gonna tell you, know, it's some bullshit. Like people be cutting it to me on Facebook and shit. You know, be like, texting me and shit. And I was like, I know these motherfuckers ain't real people. I know they ain't real people. Then I'm like, motherfucker, you ain't real. These pictures ain't yours. Then I found the picture somewhere else, and I'm like, I know you ain't real. So, you know, I fuck with them, and then I'm like, motherfucker, you ain't real. You fucking catfishing. You fucking full of shit. I don't know what people get out of that. I think a relative is one of the people that tried to catfish me. I think, because they said a word and I'm like, I knew it. It's one of you motherfuckers wants to say, well, look what he did. I ain't do shit. I ain't meet nobody. I have a few female friends, but very few. Very few. But it's just funny when they try to catfish you, and you just be like they act like you don't know. Like motherfuckers act like it's only one cute bitch in the world. You dig? And they think that they're it. It's like I made a post on Facebook, and I came hard on them. I'm like, women, and this is for the melanated women of America, and we have a lot of women that are making themselves bald by wearing weaves and combing their hair backwards. These chicks is bald. Let me see if I was trying to find some pictures of that shit earlier. I can find this. So let's see. I'll look for that shit later. Oh, this is the same thing, so I can take that off because that's the same thing. This is the same thing. Okay, I could have just brought it up there. Okay. But women are making themselves bald. And it's like in the 60s and 70s, especially the 70s, going into the 80s, there was a pride of women having their hair natural. 60s, 70s. There was a pride. Now everybody want to look like the Eurasians. You got bitches coming on doing selfies and they're shaking their hair, they're feeling their, and it's like, bitch, this ain't your hair. Like, how are you sitting there flicking your hair and this is all fake hair? So it's like the only way sisters want to look now is like Eurasians. It's like that's the only way to look. Look at Africans. It's a video of African chicks say you shouldn't go out the house without your weave. So this shit has even went over to Africa, where these bitches is wearing that shit. Now, why is bitches in Africa wearing weaves? And why? Look up that video where African chick says, I'll wear my hair natural. Maybe if I go to the child's school, but when I go out, I gotta have a weave. Why do you gotta look like the Eurasians? Why? Why is that the only thing of beauty? So one thing, check this out. One thing about Freaknik, when they talk about sisters' hairs, you ain't seeing them weaves. You see maybe, the big old hair with the extensions and shit, but you ain't seeing the weaves. Chicks is fine with getting their hair pressed and up. Chicks is fine with that. So when did it switch over? Weaves and extensions been around forever. Weaves and extensions been around since Hollywood in the 30s and 40s. Just let's look at bitches. Let's look at TV through the years and movies through the years. You see, Eurasians have used this shit forever. And they finally let niggas use it, and look at niggas. It's like, that's the only way they can look now. I look at some women, I'm like, if it wasn't for the hair, you wouldn't think you was cute. Did you hear what I said? I look at some women, and if it wasn't for the hair, they would think they weren't cute. But now they got the fake hair, they think they're cute. How is it? It's like me wearing this hat and thinking, well, when I wear the Grizzlies hat, I really look good. And you know what it boils down to? It's mental illness with our people. It is a form of mental illness. It's just like taking selfies all the time. That's a form of mental illness. If every day you got to show yourself and take pictures of yourself and show the world, that's mental illness. And that's what we have going in the melanated community. We have mental illness that makes us think and make our people think that they got to have hair like the Eurasians. And that's the Eurasians pushing that too. Now, and this is a fact. All the hair come from China. Brazilian, and they try to show them fucking monks. The monks, they shaving the hair. No. It's a video, and I gotta find it again. Because a hairdresser years ago broke me down to this. She said, nah. Because I was like, yeah, that shit come from Brazil. No, she's like, no. This woman goes to all these different places, and what she breaks down is all the hair comes from China. All the hair comes from China. So that shit saying they shave their hair in India and give it, no, that's bullshit. 99% of the hair in the world come from China. Now, China can make a fur coat look real. That's how good it looks. But it's like me, like me, if I put on one of them, what do Cat Williams call it? I put on a man unit. The man unit is only going to last me so long, and I'm going to start doing like this. That glue and shit gets you itching. And this is the other part. How do we know what that glue is going to do to your skin in 10 years? How do you know? They put glue on your head. How do you know what that glue is going to do to you? In 10 years, what do you think the glue is going to do to your hair in 10 years? on your skin. You already see where the shit, women recede, recede, recede. And my other point was, I don't even think women look at themselves in the mirror. Women that wear them buns in their hair and put the baby hair, their hairline be way back here. They bald as dudes and thinking they're cute. And the Eurasians do the same thing. They comb their hair backwards, which pulls your hair out. They put the ponytails in, which pulls your hair out. And you see the same thing. I saw one Eurasian. She had the baby hair, and again, her shit's back here. When you looked at where that bun and where her hairline, it was back here. And we have a culture of bald-headed women that have made themselves bald. How is that cute? You got a bun back here and your hairline back here. Your hairline's here and the bun's here. How is that cute? And this is what shows you, bitches don't look at themselves. This is where the illusion comes in. They don't really see themselves. They can't. Because nobody in their right mind would put the baby hair right here and then the bun right here in the back. Bun's supposed to be on top. I mean, this just like gets beyond crazy. Let me see if I can find this shit. I was trying to find some examples earlier. No, nigga. Let me see, will this bring it up? Let's see. You son of bitches. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see if I was trying to find this on my other thing and I couldn't really find it. So let's see. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Right here, y'all. Right here, y'all. Look at this bitch. Hairline. Now, this is how it's supposed to look. Look, this is how it's supposed to look. You see? Hair in the front. All right? That's how it's supposed to look. Let me go through some of these pictures. Okay. Let me go through some of these pictures to show you. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look how in the back. Look how far her hair has receded. Look at this. Look how far her hair has receded. I know it's going to be more. Let me keep looking. Okay, here's another one. And this is a young girl, but look at already. Look at the receding already. Look at the receding already. You see the receding. And this is a young person, but look at what doing this does to you. Her hairline is actually way back here. I mean, this is like beyond. I mean, and they don't understand they're making themselves go bald. Okay. God damn, I don't think this is a real human being, but this looks like an alien. But look at this. Look at this. Again, these people do not look at themselves. Look at how far her hairline is back from wearing weaves and everything. And I think this is an alien. I really think this is a non-human. But look at that. Look at that. Do you think she really looks at herself and sees this receding hairline? This look like her again. Even with the different hairstyles. You see? Now, this is a lot of fake hair in there. And her shit, her shit is back in here. You see, this is a lot of fill-in hair. So do you see? I mean, it just makes no sense. Makes no sense that they do this to themselves. That they make themselves go bald. And they let the Eurasians tell them what beauty is. It's like the women don't decide what beauty is anymore. The Eurasians decide what beauty is, and not the individual. And not the individual. Now, here's an older person. Again. Look at the stress on the hair. Already you can see the stress on the hair. Receding. And they're doing this to themselves on purpose. Look at her. Look at her. Look at this. Receding hairline. Look at that. Nothing hardly in here. Receding. Look at this. Look how far back it is. Look how bald she is. This is bald, y'all. This is a bald head woman. Look at that. This woman's bald. See other pictures. Let me find more pictures. I mean, it's just, in our community, this makes no sense that they're doing this to themselves, that they'd rather be bald. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. And of course, I'm looking for something, so they try to show all the women that don't have it, but you can find it. You can find it everywhere. Here's another example. Oh, okay. This is a commercial. All right. Oh, okay. I can get it to do that. Okay. Again, look at her shit. Okay. Look at her shit back here. Look at this top back here. All right. Look where her hairline really is. Look how far back it is on her head. It's back in here. You see that? So she's making herself go bald. She's making herself go bald. Where's the back? This is my year. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. She's using the headband to hide the baldness. Look at this. The headband is hiding the baldness, but this chick is going bald. Look at that. The headband is hiding the baldness. Look at this chick here. And this is a little girl, and look what they're doing to her hair already. Already, you can see the hair here is disrupted. And you see this already, wearing weaves and shit. Look what it's done to her hair already. They do this to their children. Look at this chick. Now, this is buy some shit, but look how far her hair is back. See? Look at that. Look how far it is. Just look close to that top and how much her hair is receded from putting this bullshit in her hair. So I'm just having fun with it, y'all. You know, people can do what they want, but this is self-hate. This is a prime example of self-hate. You know, Malcolm X talks about this. Well, Malcolm X talks about, them wanting to look like Hollywood. I mean, he talks about this very same thing. He talks about this very same thing of self-hate. All right, I must play a little bit of this video. I do got to pee, but not terribly. So I'm going to break it up and not just play it all at once. So, again, I wanted to let you know who you're listening to. Again, this is Dr. Llailia, Afrika. And again, this is old. This is from, I don't even know. I don't even know his notes. This just the way he's talking, this seems like this is from the 80s is what I'm getting. Maybe even late 70s. I'm not sure. But again, what he says is powerful. So I'm going to let him go for a minute while I go pee. And then I'll break it up and play it off and on all night. But I think this is important.
Family. So what I'm going to do is give you a background into nutritional causes of what we call today racism. Now, the Europeans came from somewhere, first of all. They claim they walked from Asia all the way up to Europe, and they established their civilization in Europe. They took a 4,000-mile walk from Asia up to Europe. That is their claim. And they claim their race is from 3 Sanskrit words. That is their claim. But the only thing we have historically to document them is what the facts are. There are a lot of people who claim that they were made and created in a laboratory, the Europeans. There are a lot of people who claim they are
Now that comes from, let me say this, that comes from the Jakob theory. That comes from the Jakob theory. Now we know that the Jakob theory was done in practice. We know it was done in practice because all we got to do is go to China. The original people in China were melanated people, not these white-looking Eurasians we see now. But the original people of China were darker-skinned people. And so what the Chinese emperor did, I think the one that's got that tomb with all the people in it, they started grafting people. They started doing exactly what the Jakob theory is, start grafting people. You don't let the 2 dark ones get together. You find a lighter one, put them together. You find a dark and a light, put them together. And so you graft them out. And that's was part of what the Eurasians, when they came to America, tried to do too. I mean, they say it in Killer, I think it's Killer in the Flower Moon, it's like, we'll breed them out in no time. So just wanted to add my 2 cents, but I'm gonna let him chop.
Degenerate black person, someone who suffers from a melanin deficiency. That is true. But the facts are they came from somewhere. So we're going to look at where they came from.
Oh, I'm sorry, PJ. PJ had a comment. Let me say this shit. Let me read this. PJ, I think somebody tried to catfish me. This bitch told me how she had visions of her man. I said that she sounds good, but did you tell your baby daddy the same thing? The bitch said, what? Which? Which one? Which one? They used to clown chicks who wore wigs and weaves. Exactly. And it's funny, you know, my daughter's mother, the one I said I had the affair with for 10 years, she was heavily maked up. You know, it's a couple times because my ex I was married to, she had long hair, light skin, long hair. I'll say she was a little slightly darker than me, slightly. So this chick I'm messing with comes in there with, you know, weave down to her back. It's so funny to see. But now I see my daughter with her. My daughter all made up, the long eyebrows, again, her hairline back here. She had from having her hair perm, she had unhealthy hair. And her family, the chicks didn't have really long hair. She took more after her mother than me. And so now my daughter looks like that, you know. She has that clownish look. But I'm going to let this man chop. I got to go pee. I'll stop and I'll let him chop.
And what caused them to behave the way they behave. Strictly as a science, like you look at any other animal. There are human beings that behave like animals, and then there are animals that behave like human beings. So we're going to look at some animals that behave like human beings. Now, according to, let me go to the chalkboard for a minute. Now, we're going back to maybe 1.5 million years ago. And during that period of time, they had what they call the Ice Age. And that was about from 1.5 million years ago.
May I have your attention, please? Workshop, sir. Currently going on.
I'll let him pause there.
Dealing with abusive relationships. Room 102. The challenges of international interracial relationships is in room.
Yes, so we know that the Ice Age started, the most recent one started 1.5 million years ago, and it just stopped about 10,000 years ago. That's when it stopped 10,000 years ago. And the ice receded about 5,000 years ago. And the Europeans entered into history 4,000 years ago. This is when they first recorded this race called the Europeans 4,000 years ago. That was recorded on a pallet, on a mace head in Africa when they first met the Europeans. That's 4,000 years ago. So this is when they entered history. And of course, they entered history violently. And we say they were violent people. Well, they came from the Ice Age. Now, we're in Europe. We're around France, Germany, Sweden, the Slavic countries. Those areas are known as glaciated. Glaciated soil, when the ice melts, the ice floods the area, and when it floods, it washes away all the vital nutrients. This is what happened. So I'm going to just outline some of them and go over some of them that were washed away from the soil. Selenium. Anyone raised on Ice Age glaciated soil, that's in France, that's in Germany, that's in England, is going to have a selenium deficiency. This is fact. This is what the soil content is. They're going to have a zinc deficiency.
Let me mention
They're
Russia
also going to
too.
have a phosphate deficiency.
Russia too, Holland, Sweden,
Or
all the
phosphorus,
motherfuckers.
excuse me.
Iceland.
That's just some of the deficiencies, just from eating plants that are raised on this glaciated soil in Britain, and France, and Sweden, in the European countries.
Russia.
So they're raised on soil that is depleted of these nutrients. When you have a selenium deficiency, you become irritable very easily. Your mind becomes unstable. When you have a zinc deficiency, you lack a neural, it's an element used to transmit nerve messages. So your nerve messages are not transported balancedly, you see, just by having a zinc deficiency. Then when you have a phosphate and potassium deficiency, by the way, this is the soil that raised the plants that they were eating. It was deficient in these nutrients. And when you look up these nutrients in a textbook, you'll find that a person that lacks them is violent, very easily irritated, and suffers from what they call schizophrenia, which is a mind and mood disorder. So the Europeans are raised on what we call glaciated soil. So they are deficient in these nutrients from 5, 4, 10,000 years ago. So they continuously were eating plants that were deficient of these nutrients. And when you're deficient of certain nutrients, each nutrient controls a form of behavior. If I take away your selenium, you will become sterile. Because selenium is highest in concentration in the male system where the testicles is, in the sperm, selenium. So is zinc. That's why long ago they told brothers to eat oysters. They were after the zinc, you see. And that's the highest concentration is in the sperm. The highest concentration of vitamin C is around the semen. That's 8 to 10 times higher than the vitamin C that's in the systemic floating blood system. So these vital nutrients were not in the soil of the Europeans. Therefore, nutritionally, their behavior could only be one of unstable personality, violence, aggression, easily irritated, and then, added on to this deficient soil, we have a pineal gland. I'm going to go to the board again. The pineal gland, that's the one that makes melanin. And when you're deficient, their pineal gland is 60 to 80% non-functional, whereas African people have a 100% functional pineal gland. Pineal gland is a gland that is in the center of your brain, and it makes the brain cell for all the cells in the body. It is the master gland. Without it, nothing happens. Nothing. All they tell us is that the pineal gland makes black. But they do not tell you that without the pineal gland, there's no nucleus to any cell in your body. If your pineal gland is very active and stimulated, you can make yourself darker. The Europeans have used experiments where they put themselves in a glass bubble and just stimulated the pineal gland without the sun and became darker. Because they stimulated the pineal gland to make the melanocyte stimulating hormone. So they are deficient in melanin, you see. And without the melanin, you have no balance. You lack spirituality, you see. So we have three major things.
And let me just say this. Oh, okay, I didn't hit my thing, I'm sorry. Added on, I was letting him chop. And remember, all melanated people, all the word melanated really means is people that can receive the sun. That's what it means. You're able to receive the sun. And again, what they did to melanated folks is they started finding ways to calcify to calcify your pineal gland, because this is where spirituality comes from. This is where the true imagination comes from. This is where magic comes from. And so they've done everything that in their power to try to kill that in you, so you can't use it. So I'm gonna let him chop.
We have the melanin deficiency. This is anatomically. I'm not going into social science. We all know about prejudice and all that sort of thing, but we tend to not look at the animal that behaves like a human being. So we have the mineral deficiency, the selenium, the zinc, the phosphorus, potassium, and we have the melanin deficiency. All of this is coming out of the ice age, where the soil was depleted of these nutrients.
Till I ain't drinking enough water.
So we have a melanin deficiency. When you have a melanin deficiency, you have something that's called obsessive compulsive behavior. I hope you can understand my writing. A melanin deficiency produces obsessive compulsive behavior. This behavior is the behavior of what you would call an addictive person, someone that has to do things step by step. Because when you hide melanin, you are creative, you're more intuitive. So you create your own steps. But when you're deficient in melanin, you have to go step by step by step. And that's called addictive behavior. If I were to teach someone with a melanin deficiency how to dance, I better paint the steps by steps by step.
I'm sorry. I turned myself off. I'm sorry. So my point, what I was making is, what he's saying is 1, 2, 3 step, 1, 2, 3 step, 1, 2, 3. That's how they dance. And that's line dancing. Line dancing is the same thing. 1, 2, 3 step, 1, 2. And that's what I don't like about it. It's like a hive mind. Like everybody got to do the same dance. They've tricked us into doing the same dances. You go to parties and what do melanated people do? Electric slide. Everybody, again, we're doing what they do instead of the free expression dancing that's natural to us. Turtle Gang was getting on him earlier because some nigga tried to say that the Indian dance is 1, 2 step, and it was really not. Like when you look at the Turkey Warrior dance, he's telling a story with his dance. And ain't no two Turkey Warriors gonna do it the same. So it ain't no 1, 2 step. Turtle Gang was hitting with that, and he was right. But okay, so I'm sorry, that's all I was saying. I'm sorry. I know I turned myself off so you couldn't hear me get up. Okay, let him chop.
On the floor. That is because they're coming out of a melanin deficiency. And that's obsessive compulsive behavior, which you call racism. So, obsessive compulsive people are inherently inferior. Now, all I've spoken to you about is what is nutritionally going on with the person that we call the Europeans, the Caucasians. What we have been going on in our plight with them is dealing with them socially, and say they do this socially and they do this socially and we don't like this, so we protest and we march and all that sort of thing. But we have not, as I said earlier, looked at them as strictly as they look at another group of people. They go in, they take the scientists, and they examine a group of people, and they call it anthropology. Now we're going in, and we're taking the science of our mind, because the mind means science, to know, and we're looking at them. They come from a glaciated area, selenium deficiency, zinc deficiency, phosphorus deficiency, potassium deficiency. They also come from a melanin deficiency. And what does all of this produce? I repeat, unstable thinking, easily irritated, aggressive behavior, distorts reality. Distortion of reality is known as a psychosis. If I show you the pyramids in Africa and you say black people are dumb, then you are distorting reality. The thing with a mind that's in this kind of state, in this diseased state, is that it believes first and then it sees. You are used to thinking seeing is believing. If you see the truth, if I show you the pyramids, and I say it sits in the direct center of the landmass, and I say a star passes over it every 50,000 years, and then I show you the calculus in the building, and the geometry in the building, and then I show you the space age, which was invented in Africa when they did astrology, as you call it. That was the opening of the space age. I show you all this evidence, and you say African people are inferior, then you are suffering from a selenium deficiency, a zinc deficiency, a phosphorus deficiency, and a melanin deficiency, because you have distorted reality to inferiority. A group of people who are inferior use their imagination and create an illusion that they are superior. There is nothing in recorded history to document that the Caucasians are superior. Nothing. When you read the book Race and Civilization, you find out.
All right, I turned myself on. Okay. And this is the problem I have with Tataria. See, he sums up you niggas that believe in that Tataria shit. Tataria is trying to make the Eurasian infinite, ancient. That's what they want you to believe. That's all Tataria is, mud flood is. Well, you know, we was really great people and they mud flooded us all out. They burned all the cities down. But that's what it is. It's trying to make the Eurasian ancient. That's what it's trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you that they're ancient. That's all mud flood, Tataria. That's all it is. Well, we were these great people, but you know, they mud flooded us and they changed us and reset it. That's what mud flood is, because they have nothing ancient. What buildings do they have ancient? They want to say they built some shit in Notre Dame. Okay, this is 13th, 14th century. But ancient, what have they done that's ancient that have stood the test of time? There's not really nothing there. Nothing that they, you know, but what they lied about, and again, I'm going to let him chop. But that's the Tataria. I know a lot of you niggas that follow me and I follow you. You believe. I don't believe in anything. I know, and that's what you don't. You believe. But I'm gonna let him continue.
That they just stopped cannibalism in 1946. And
did you hear that? They just stopped cannibalism in 1946. Again, if you find the papers, find the papers of some of Columbus' men, some of them Jewish faith people, because the first person from Europe that stepped on this land was a Jewish faith guy. They'll tell you, there was no chickens here. There was no pigs. No buffalo. They'd killed all the buffaloes, bison in America. But none of that. They wasn't happy eating fruits and vegetables, fish. They wasn't happy with none of that. So they started killing people. And they say they like killing the babies and children the most. That's what they want to make steaks out of. And what did I show you? Go back to that film of Meredith Quinn. And what he's talking about is when they made them sign some papers to say, quit fucking eating us. because that's what Columbus and his people did, and the same thing with Cortez. They were eating us, making steaks out of us, as Meredith Quinn says. So this is how diabolical these people are. What do you say? They admitted that they stopped in 46. But we know with all these, especially all these Native women missing, what do you think they're doing? Well, they don't want the parts. They want to harvest them for steaks. All right, let's go.
In Germany, you have to realize that I haven't given you the social wolf pack behavior of the Europeans. We haven't gotten into them as a socializing creature. Remembering that our African ancestors, what makes us great is that we founded human relationship. We know how to get along with each other. The black man knows how to get along with the black woman until the Europeans introduced him to his distortions, you see. What made us powerful is not the math, not the chemistry, it's human relationship. We know how to get along with each other, our children, and God. It's relationship. We have mastered the science of relationship. But when you suffer from a mineral deficiency such as this, and a melanin deficiency such as this, and you are inferior, you're going to distort reality. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with some animals that behave like human beings. So we constantly try to get them to change their minds, to change their behavior with all these wonderful intellectual thoughts about harmony and peace and love and brotherhood and all that sort of thing. But you don't do that to a person who is drunk. You don't give them an intellectual sandwich. You have to treat a person like that. You have to first cleanse their system, get rid of their addiction. You find out that they are deficient in glutamic acid. They have a glutamic acid deficiency. This feeds the brain, glutamic acid. I don't want to clutter the board too much, although I do need an eraser. Now, I told you about the Ice Age. The most recent one is the 1.5 million years ago, which ended 10,000 years ago, and the ice regressed it 5,000 years ago, and then you had the European enter in history 4,000 years ago. This is the only recorded incident of them in history. The Romans and the Greeks are not Europeans. They are Mediterranean cultures. See, what has happened is a person hits some history. They have written themselves into history, and you believe it. They are not from the Roman Empire. They are not from Greece. They never were a part of it.
See, rewrite history. The winners write history. That's why I see there's no such thing as Asia. You know what they want you to think Europe is Britain. Britain, France, and Germany. They want you to think that's separate. That's all Asia. All of it. All of it is Asia. Look at Russians. Russians are mongrels. Huns. Attila the Huns. What are they called? Yeah, Attila the Hun. No, Khan. Look at Khan. These are mongrel people. So these are all Euro-Asians. We just give them the Euro because that's what they want to call themselves. They're not from a continent. They're all from Asia. It's all Asia. But he said what he said was interesting. You see how they want to tie themselves in and say that's our history? Again, the Greek, look how far Greece is from Britain. Look how far Rome is from Britain. France and Germany. These is the main, what they call Europe. And you throw Sweden and Holland and all that shit. But you see how much of history they've made? They try to relate to the Greeks. Well, the Greeks made society. Well, he just shows the Greeks ain't y'all. The Romans ain't y'all. Y'all from fuck now. We know Caesar did capture Gaul, which is France. He did capture Britain, which is Great Britain. but it didn't make them Roman. It wasn't really their real culture. They were captured. This is part of imperialism. But let my man go. Keep chopping, my man.
At all. Now, the ice regressed. I'm trying to give you the social climate. Now, when these icebergs are moving, they sound like lightning. They like bolts, and they rock the whole earth. And it's like an earthquake all the time. You walk down the street, and the street opens up and swallows you. You see, this is the ice age. This is the kind of social environment they were in. Understand me? Now, with all that going on, you have human traps. Now, I know you think that the Europeans are buying us as slaves to work the land, but some of us were sold just for delicacies. Some of us were eaten.
A lot of us was eaten.
They have human traps. They have traps for how to capture children. They have human broths, how to bake a child. These are in their recipe books. Race and Civilization is the name of the book, and if you want to know how the Europeans really behave, you read a book called Dirt. Dirt. That's what it's called. Race and Civilization is one book, and the other book is Dirt. That's the title. I can't think of the authors right now. But the behavior is what we're talking about. And when you have this atmosphere where the earth is shaking and rolling under your feet, it can produce a lot of fear in you. And then the food supply, because the land is frozen and the water is frozen, so you have a shortage of food. So you're going from starvation to overeating, starvation to overeating, which we call binging or bulimia. And when you meet people, you transmit the same illness to them. And so you got black people that overeat, and they go on a diet, which is starvation, and they overeat, and they go on a diet. So we're just copying their behavior. See, they don't have to teach us confusion, they are confusion. You see. Nonetheless, we have all this going on, and then we have something that closely resembles their social condition. And the social condition is that of what we call a wolf pack. It's wolf pack behavior. In that when a wolf captures its prey, they are together killing the carcass, and then once the carcass is killed, then they start fighting amongst each other. And that's what they always do. Their wolf packs today are called alliances. North American Treaty Alliance, United Nations. These are alliances that they form to attack a caucus, or be that Africa, Somalia, Ethiopia. And once they have attacked it, then they fight amongst each other. This is wolf pack behavior. And the wolf always resorts to juvenile behavior after it captures its prey. It becomes very childish and licks each other and cuddles up and does these very childish behaviors. And sure enough, after they capture their prey, be it African people in prison or sexually, however they want to capture us, or capture us through peace, or capture us through war, any tool that they use is to rule and control you. It doesn't matter what the tool is.
Capture through drugs. Capture through drugs.
The tool can be peace. The tool can be
capture through fake hair and makeup. Capture through rappers. Jay-Z, all of a sudden, Jay-Z was the most copying of copiers, copied everybody. Look at my watch. Look at this. 30 is the new 20. So they saying don't mature. That's what 30 the new 20 is. Don't mature. Don't mature. You're still 20. Don't mature. That's what Jay-Z is trying to tell you. Don't mature. That's what 30 is the new 20. Don't mature. That's what he's telling you. So, people need to say Jay-Z was an industrial plant. Look at all the copies of people that he was around. More than likely, Jay-Z had Big L killed. So, he's just as dirty. This guy ain't original. He tries to copy that French dude. He got a wig like that French, or the Basquiat, I think is his name, the artist. This is what they try to feed you. They get plants, and these plants try to feed you these things. Telling you don't grow up. 30's the new 20, so don't grow up. All right, keep chopping, my man.
Your religion. Any device they use is going to be used to rule and control you. If they give you money, they use money to rule and control you. 90% of all the millionaires, black millionaires, invest in white people, in their businesses, excuse me. So money is just used. You say, all this money black people make. Yes, but they gave it to you, so whoever gave it to you for their benefit. So what they gave you is to rule and control you. So you fight to vote. Now that you vote, and they use voting to rule and control you. Then you fight to get in the classroom. And what do they do? The miseducation of the Negro. Do I have to go into that? They use education to rule and control.
Attention, please. Workshop, boys and men.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yes, so what we have is the wolf pack behavior. Now I'm going over a lot of large concepts very fast, I know that. So, but I'm trying to say is they wolf pack. That's why they come together and have sex, which we call orgies. See, they always come together for these activities. They come together and burn a Negro at the stake, and you called it the Ku Klux Klan. Then the meeting's over, then they fighting each other at work and doing this same little childish behavior. Or if they have a celebration, they use alcohol.
And what does my man say? Ancestral Productions? If they didn't have brown and black people to hate, they would hate themselves. That's his whole point. Look at their history of fighting. Like from the very earliest, these motherfuckers fighting each other. And then when they get Christianity in there, they found a great way of control. And who's the largest Christians right now? The forced motherfuckers in Afrika. The forced motherfuckers in Afrika. It is so many. You go to this in the Twin Cities, you go to Minneapolis, it's thousands of African Christian churches or Catholic Christian churches. So do you see, what do they call it? It's indoctrination. They indoctrinate you. Because again, what I showed last night, Leonardo da Vinci, Borgia being the idea picture. That Borgia was their way. And what do we see on Good Times? Oh no, you better not take that picture of Borgia down and have him be melanated. The rest of the family like, hell yeah, Jesus melanated. But what did the holdover, what did the sellout do? No, you can't do that. No, we got to have Borgia. Ignorance can keep you a slave. Ignorance can keep you a slave. That's what my whole point of talking about the way the women look. It's ignorance. It's self-hate. I mean, when did it come that the only beauty is flowing locks? When did that become beauty? When did there's only one way you can be beautiful? And that's what it shows you. It's only one way. Get your weave as soon as you can. That's why I look at the year Manchester, England, and the videos, and let me say, the ugliest people in the world. I used to think live in Wisconsin. I think the ugliest people in the world is them people live in Britain. I don't know how Jimi Hendrix was pulling them bitches. There's some ugly bitches in Britain. They got somebody that shows the little videos of them, and you see ugly person after ugly. I mean, they got really sharp looks. And it's amazing how you just look at ugly, 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 ugly. And they all got their little skinny dresses, boobs out. But they're not very handsome people. But okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to let him chop.
And then they start acting silly. Then you wonder why they're acting silly. Because they were always silly. But the thing is, I'm just trying to identify some of the things so you can start looking at an animal that's behaving like a human being. Because to be human doesn't mean you have 2 legs and 2 arms. Human is a way of behavior. That's why our ancestors said, when you finish what we call the rites of passage, which is a German term for a course of academic study. We're academicians. We teach. We learn. But the German invented this term rites of passage to kind of throw you off. Like they invented the term naturopathy, which is my field, naturopathic medicine, to throw you off. They are not going to call it African hygienic health. They are not going to call anything of ours African and let us know. So they invent another term. Remember, they're coming from the Ice Age, 5,000 years ago. Here you are, African man and woman, averaging 200 to 300 years of age. They're living to be 30 years of age. You have the equivalent of a PhD at 12 years old. That's your level of intelligence in Africa. What you're fighting to get to, a 12-year-old kid already has. So here you come with all this intelligence and this vast vocabulary, because remember, they're coming out of the Ice Age, so they didn't have indoor plumbing like our ancestors had, or glass windows, remember this. We had a whole vocabulary of words, they didn't know what we were talking about. And you're trying to pick out some words to communicate to them. So there is no connection between what you are saying at all. None whatsoever. It's similar to you don't know anything about, say, if I start talking about the neurohormonal connections and all that, and I'm talking biochemistry, and you walk into class and I'm giving this biochemical lecture, you say, well, all this is a mystery to me. So when they walk into an African college or university, they say, this is a mystery system. This is all a mystery to me. So they name our system a mystery system. Because it is a mystery to them. Excuse me. Nonetheless, this is the condition that they were in when they came into Africa. A mineral deficiency from the glaciated soil. The plants raised on that soil lacked the nutrients. And then they had a melanin deficiency from a calcified pineal gland. So they had these two biological things working toward their degree of insanity. Now, we find that everyone had the same illness. If all of you are Europeans, all of you have the same illness because all of us are raised on the same soil, mind you. So your scientists have it, your religious leaders have it, your teachers have it, all of them have it. So they do not know they have it. Look, when our ancestors were trying to teach them about religion, about God, they did three things to this concept, this idea, this philosophy, which we never called a religion. All Oriental cultures call it a philosophy. Europeans organize it.
Let me add this. Yahweh means volcano god. Yahweh means volcano god. Allah was one of the many gods. There was different statues in the Kabbalah, and Allah was one of the statues. You can find this pretty clearly. But Yahweh means volcano god. But let him chop.
Group, a man in top of it, in charge of it, and they call it religion. That's altogether different from what we had as religion. So they organized their religions to inferiorize the woman, put her down, justify slavery. That's two things that their religions are going to do. Inferiorize the woman.
And that goes into blaming Eve. That's what he's talking about, blaming Eve. That goes into Sophia, because Sophia used to mean knowledge. And what did the Catholics do? The Father, the Son, they cut out Sophia and call it the Holy Spirit. But yet they tell you that the Holy Spirit can heal, so we know it's a woman's energy. But he's making the point. Instead of saying mu is the first thought, again, they say the atom. Okay, let's go, my man. Chopper.
Justify slavery, that's two things, remember. And anything that refers to African religions is going to be called pagan. You go into the European version of the Muhammad or Islamic religion, it inferiorizes woman, it justifies slavery, and it calls anything African pagan. You go into the European version of Christianity, women are counted with cattle and all that sort of thing. It inferiorizes woman, justifies slavery, and call anything that deals with African religion pagan. It does these things, all of them, all the major European religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. All of those are European religions. Anything that the European uses to reinforce their position. So as I mentioned before, if they give you religion, it's to rule and control you. If I give you the right to vote, it's to rule and control you. If I give you money, it's to rule and control you. All of these things are done to rule and control us. Now, when our ancestors were architecting and putting together our culture, they did not look over their shoulder at what the Europeans are doing. And we need not look over our shoulder at what the Europeans are doing. We don't need that to grow and develop and learn. Because as long as we look over our shoulder at them, we are always attached to them. So, traditionally, if I go in and I talk about health, nutrition, people say, well, where's your documentation? Oh, what are your credentials? Oh, you mean what plantation I was raised on? Why don't you just come out and say it? You know, that's what I want to tell them, but I understand we're all coming from the same kind of ignorance, so I say, oh, yeah, I went to school, you know, I got a piece of paper from the white man. He says my brain is officially in my head. You know, so I showed a piece of paper, but it means nothing to me. You know, and they say, oh, so that's so I mentioned something about the glaciated ice age where the soil was robbed and all that stuff. Well, where's your documentation? Where's your evidence? I just point to white people. There's my evidence. You know, but you know, I can't do that. I got to be official and scientific, and I run down all of this stuff about the soil and all that sort of thing, and I run it down the melanin deficiency. When you have a melanin deficiency, you're going to have obsessive compulsive behavior because you're protecting an inferior position. When you just arrived on the scene of civilization 4,000 years ago and you arrived violently coming into Africa and Catfish had to throw you out, I'm using his nickname, Memphis. The city of Memphis named after Menace, yeah, right, okay. Menace, I had to go through all that. He threw them out and united Upper and Lower Nile. See, so when they entered history, it was violently. Now we have all of these tools that are used to control and ruin us, and then we also have romance that is used to control and ruin us. And then you look up the word Rome, and you see it comes from Urim, and Urim comes from Rim, and Rim means the Nile. And Nile means the laws of the great truth, the laws of the female and male attributes of God. That's why God was always called Mother, Father God in our culture, because we could not conceive of a man being balanced by himself. So we call God Mother, Father God, you see. So the whole concept of romance is African, but they took it and used it to control and ruin us. The first epic on romance is the epic about Ata, the romance of Ata, an African brother. Because romance is conceived as I meet a woman, and a woman meets me, boy meets girl, that kind of thing. And you go into this yin-yang symbolism of man and woman, which the Europeans also took. It goes like this. Yin-yang. The yin-yang is the male and female together.
Okay, and even the Africans took this. Even the Africans copied this. Hanukkah. You see that right there? See, he's a Pan-African, but that's Hanukkah. Even they copied it. And the people in Americas came before the Africans. I know the Turtle Gang's a firm believer of out of Africa, but we know that people didn't come out of Africa. It appears like people came out of America, South America. That's where it looks like all the people came from and started. And I've showed you pictures before of the omen taking the world tree to the rest of the world. And we know that a lot of Africans came from India. Can't deny that you had people come from India, went into Africa. So that shows you the out of Africa theory is bullshit. But this is yin and yang. Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the original symbol of yin and yang. The maker of movement, the maker of movement, of time and movement. Hanukkah. Okay, let's go. He's a Pan-African, but we're not going to hold that against him. Let's go.
You see, and they just took out this part and left the other part because that's connected to Africa. Just as they took the number 5 and took out the ankh that was on top of it and just left this part. Because if you leave that in, it connects to Africa. So they took all these out. It's a thing about the words you get. If you ever looked at the old Bibles, you see these words, all these decorations around them. That is the holistic meaning of the letter. That word is a story in itself. So you won't find all of these. I'm digressing here. I don't like to do that to you. And you find all these curly cues around words in the old Bibles. That's the holistic meaning that our ancestors put on the words. So the Europeans could not deal with all of that, so they just left it that way. You see. So I'm saying this whole thing about romance is taken away from us, and now it's used to control and ruin us. And also sex is used that way. Sex is used to control and ruin us. That's all it's used for. There's no other purpose for it. It is one of the highest grossing things in this country. Sex is used to make money. And anything that's used to make money, the white people are not going to let you have. But nonetheless, we're getting into this mineral deficiency, and we're trying to be very scientific about it. Now, when you have a melanin deficiency, what melanin does is it controls the rate in which your bones grow. The calcium and magnesium ratios, it controls bone growth. So African people have a higher density in their bones than Europeans. Our muscles are darker and has a lesser salt content. Our muscles are lighter, excuse me, so we have fast twitch muscles which responds to stimulus faster. Now I've given you that the bones are different. I've given you that the muscles are different. Our blood is different. You see, we have a lesser amount of white blood cells. And our red blood cells crystallizes in a kind of pyramid shape when you burn it. And the Europeans does not, you see. So our blood is different. Then our nerves have more melanin in it, so it transmits messages better. The one thing that melanin does is it stores from memory to memory. It's like if you want to remember something, you have to go back to your memory and think about it, and then you bring it up to your present state of mind. Well, when you're African, you don't have to. Wherever you want it is in the memory, so you just transfer from one memory to another. You see, and so the Europeans met our ancestors and said you ask them a question and they act all slow in answering it, and they breathe deep. You know, they must be dumb. You see, we didn't have to go through all that to get our information. We just did it, deep breathed, transmit the information back and forth, and it was done. The conversation was over. We use less words. The Europeans are known to talk a lot, giggle a lot, and chew chewing gum. They're very talkative. The American Indians said they talk a lot. Of course, the American Indians always told us that they speak with forked tongue. You know, and we just say they use word trickery. To us, we are labeling a mental illness. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Stop saying this word trickery. Stop saying they have racism. Stop saying all of that. They have a mental illness by anybody's definition. By their own definitions, they have a mental illness. You look at a...
And let me just cut him off and say this. If you don't think lynching the way they lynched, if you don't think taking 300,000 melanated people to fight in World War II, then bringing them back and then trying to kill them, what do you call that? What do you call that? They fought the Huns for you. They fought the Germans for you, but you were so scared of them when they came back, you had to start killing them because they were used to killing your type of people. So only a mental ill person can do this. A mental ill society. And don't give them a break for World War II. It was over, I think, 500,000 melanated people, if not 1 million, that fought in World War II. And what happened when they came home? The same kind of thing. Riots to kill soldiers. Hell, I told you a story about one of my relatives was one of the first Green Berets. One of the first Green Berets. He graduated from high school in 63, 64. He went over to Vietnam in 64, 65. Stayed 3 years. One of the first melanated Green Berets. And as soon as he showed support for the civil rights, they put a hit on him and killed him. He steps out of his car, he gets shot in the head. A guy fully trained by the Green Berets. And you're going to tell me that an American cop can outshoot him. But it shows you, when they killed them people up in Duluth, these are functionally, it's a thing called, functional illiterates. So these are functional retarded people is what he's telling you. Functional, mentally ill people as a society. This is who they were from the beginning of coming here. This is why they can murder so easy. And this is why they can eat us so easy. Now, I'm not pouring it on anybody particular, but I'm just saying, look at society, and this is what society is. Keep going, bruh.
Selenium deficiency, zinc deficiency, phosphorus deficiency, potassium deficiency. Look at it. A person that suffers from that has a mental illness, scientifically. A person with a melanin deficiency has an obsessive compulsive disorder. Scientifically, they are mentally ill. They are not white racists. They are mentally ill. Let's call them what they are. They always told us, call a spade a spade. So, but I'm very tactful when I talk to them because I realize the nature of the animal that I'm dealing with. Because once you upset them, they become violent. They become very violent. Yes. They'll attack you with their pink slips, fire. They become very violent. We have black people today who are following the Europeans and their diet, and so we're beginning to get selenium deficiency, zinc deficiency, and now pineal gland is becoming underactive.
Okay, and that goes into Killer of the Flower Moon. What did they tell her in Killer of the Flower Moon? You can't eat like white people. And this is what's happening when we start eating like them, not having our own gardens. And even the way they taught us to make gardens after World War II. It wasn't include nature in the way you make your garden. No. It wasn't bring in the Three Sisters, which we had done in America for, goes back into the Omen, the Micaiah. The Micaiah were the original corn people of America. Yeah, so keep chopping, bro.
And we're not producing enough melanin because we're eating their diet. That is the problem. We're eating their diet, and their diet has produced nutritionally their illness. When you cook animal flesh, meat, as you like to call it, you're going to suffer from a lysine deficiency. That's an amino acid. I'm going to write it down here so you'll see it. Lysine is completely destroyed when you cook. Lysine regulates the pineal gland. And you are eating something that's stopping your pineal gland from acting. Lysine is completely destroyed when you cook. Glutamic acid is completely destroyed when you cook meat. This feeds your brain, feeds your melanin. So you're eating something that's causing you to have problems. When you have a lysine deficiency, you're more susceptible to infections. And sure enough, when they have a disease such as a cold or herpes, they take lysine, 2,000 milligrams, TID, 3 times a day, on an empty stomach between meals, lysine. Wards off infections. In fact, it'll get rid of the bumps on your face, which is usually worms. Worms come out through the skin, and you call them whiteheads and blackheads. Those are worms coming out, hatching the eggs. But I don't like to talk about these things because people get sick, I think. So when you cook the meat, you have a lysine deficiency, which regulates the pineal gland. So they don't have a regulator for their pineal gland. This is someone who is mentally ill. Then they're destroying the glutamic acid, which feeds the brain. So they're not getting the amino acid that nourishes the brain. So they have two major protein deficiencies: glutamic acid and lysine. Then they have the mineral deficiencies. And none of these things can be stabilized without vitamin C and digestive enzymes, which you find in papaya, mangoes, bananas, plantain, apricots, strawberries. All of these tropical fruits have all of these ingredients in them. And where were all these tropical fruits at? In Africa. And who was eating them all along? We were. Now
they were in South America too, and Mexico, South America.
And so now we're following the Ice Age people. Now we're getting into wolf pack behavior, which we call gangs. You see. All of this is coming from nutritional. This is nutritional foundation for what you call white racism. If I ate this way, I would have to behave that way. There's no way I can get around it. You would have to be mentally ill if you ate this way. That's why you are not out of your mind, you're out of their mind.
And remember a movie that Tiny Lester played in called Maya Rudolph played in too, Idiosyncrasy, I think it was called. It's got electrolytes, but it shows who they really are if you watch the show. They try to say the people got, remember, they try to show the people is so lazy, and this shows, privileged people that's so lazy, they ain't got to wipe their own ass. Remember they invented a chair where the fridge is in there and the bathroom is there. When you got to shit, you just push a button and the seat pulls back and you can just shit where you sit. And you ain't got to walk to the bathroom. You can just shit right where you sit. Idiosyncrasy. They're trying to show you who they are. And this is why you see them through the Masons trying to identify so much with Africa. Because that's the only knowledge they were taught. They were ignorant of the Americas. And that's the beautiful thing about tapping into the Americas. They didn't know the Americas until the 1400s. So this magic is in you because it was untampered with for so long. It's only what, 1400 to now? Was that 600 years? So the Americas were in touch for a long time. So a lot of these things he's talking about, he doesn't really understand. He comes from an Afrocentric point of view. He has done no studying in America. But the information is still good. Let's go.
That's why your ancestors said, boy, you ain't in your right mind. That's why I would say, when you don't achieve your adulthood, when you become an adult, you count in the village, in the community. You count. So when they got upset with you, say, boy, you no count. You are no count. That's where it comes from. You see. They were always trying to emphasize this thing for us. So they put together a diet to stabilize our melanin, to stabilize us nutritionally so we wouldn't get mentally ill. So the Europeans having big problems today putting together food. Their largest illness is digestive. You go back to colon cancer, diverticulitis, outpocketing of the colon, you got diabetes. If you go down their list of illnesses, you'll find that the biggest illnesses are of the digestive system because they haven't mastered the simple art of eating. That is very sad. It's been going on 5,000 years and they have not learned how to eat. That is very sad. So I'm talking about some people that suffer from a nutritional form of mental illness known as white racism, who resort to wolf pack behavior, which we call orgies when it deals with sex. And they still, because of that, remember I was telling you about that violent nature they were living in where they were short of food and they had to attack each other in hordes, and then they had to eat each other because there was such a food shortage, so they were into cannibalism and attacking each other. And when there was food, they would eat too much. There was no food, they would starve. And they were always under attack and always attacking someone. So they're used to this kind of violent nature. So sure enough, when they wanted to be entertained, they do something violent. They skydive. Something to simulate violence and fear. So they get on a roller coaster. You see what I'm talking about? So they used to eat in the cave, so when they go to a restaurant, it's got to be dark with a candlelight. Come on. Come on.
Fred
I want to see what I
Flintstone.
mean. You know, so I'm just saying the things that are present with us today, that are destroying us today, came from yesterday.
That was
the
deep.
things that are hurting us romantically and sexually and with our relationship come from slavery, comes from being around these people who introduce their diet to us, their melanin deficiency to us, their mineral deficiency to us, who find disease attractive throughout their history. Disease has always been attractive. Gouda was very attractive at one time in European history. It was very attractive to have a carbon deposit on your face, what you call a mole, and white women used to paint them on that face.
Marilyn Monroe.
Consider that to be attractive. Carbon waste trying to get out your body, you call it a mole, and they were painted on their face because the mole to them was attractive. So they made attractions. The whole mindset is a little unbalanced for me to talk about it. Sometimes I have a very difficult time trying to explain, when we look at white people, we're looking eye to eye, but their eye does not meet our eye. It never has, it never will. We are too spiritual. We are too in tune with the universe because of the pineal gland that has the highest electromagnetic attraction to the universe. It vibrates. It connects us to every star, every planet in the galaxy. It connects us to each other in a universal spirituality that goes unchallenged. So I'm just trying to capsulize and give you a little bit of idea of a disease group of animals that behave like human beings, known as the Caucasians, named after Caucasian mountain, who still think that dirt and rocks are very expensive, who fight over dirt, gold, diamonds. Come on, be for real. Fighting over dirt, killing each other over dirt. No, we're dealing with a diseased group of people, and we have to stand up to the fact that they are diseased. And you cannot tell them they're diseased because they're too diseased to know it. This doesn't make sense. Next time you think it makes sense to tell somebody that's drunk that they're drunk, go and do it. See how much sense it makes. Walk up to a drunk and say, hey, you drunk. What does it mean to them? It's not even registering. And you're trying to register this crystallized thought of you're mentally ill. Why don't you go somewhere and get yourself fixed, get some help, get some treatment to them, and it's not going to work. What we're about is healing ourselves. The reason why I know so much about African history is because I know European history. You have to know your enemy. You see, you have to know their wolf pack behavior, know that they come from a mineral deficiency, know that they have a lysine deficiency from amino acids and a glutamic acid deficiency. Know that when you have a deficient pineal gland, a deficient amount of melanin, you're going to have obsessive compulsive behavior because you're hiding an inferiority complex. You are inferior. You do not possess the intelligence of African people. You do not have the architecture structures to validate that. You do not have the clothing. The whole thing is absurd for us to even try to communicate this. A European concept. It's a crease in my pants. Why is it there? What does it do? I mean, you have to look at these things. Why is it there? What does it do? If I'm not constantly in a battle and need to protect myself from neck wounds, I don't need a tie. They wear a tie because of battle, to protect themselves from the neck wounds. And that's why they wear a tie. They button their sleeves because they used to carry drugs under there. Have you ever seen the older movies with the cocaine sniffers? And so they have a button there. But we don't need a button on our sleeve. Why is the button there? Why can't they just make the sleeve longer and put your arm through it? I mean, a lot of things that they do just doesn't make sense, but we accept it as normal. But it's not normal behavior. It's not normal behavior to inferiorize your woman. It's not normal behavior to enslave another group of people. It's not normal behavior to invent history. They invented themselves in history. They write themselves in history, but when you go back, there is no history other than the Ice Age. There is nothing else. They have no other place in history. They are not Romans. They are not Greeks. They are Europeans. Romans, Greeks are Mediterranean state empires. They are nowhere near Europe. They were a part of Northeast Africa, always were, until they liberated themselves and formed their own state. The Aegean, Pelagaskian, the Africans who controlled that area, who colonized them and taught them civilization. That's how they learned civilization, when Ramesses colonized them. When we had the European plantations, as you would call them today, trying to teach them certain things. We colonized Europe, trying to teach these people. Unfortunately, we didn't prepare them for the lesson. So we poured into their cup, and their cup couldn't hold it. And that infuriated them, and that made them more angry, and that made them more obsessive and compulsive and more violent prone. I think I will just entertain a few questions about this, because I may not have covered all of it. I know I didn't, so whatever questions you
Thank you. I'm sorry. I turned him off and I was listening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't say much. Y'all didn't miss nothing, me going. I turned myself off. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, El Reborn Amaru Khan. Thank you so much. Yeah, I turned myself off. So listening to him, I was kind of letting him chop. But these are just some things that you can do your own work. Like I say, look it up. I mean, whatever you think he's wrong about, look it up. You know, any of you Euro Asians, you know, look it up, because there's no such thing as Europe. This is something made up. That's why the one European chicks, the Euro Asian chick says, look at the map. England is no bigger than Rhode Island. I think Rhode Island might be bigger than England. This is an island. And they tell you that nobody could capture the island. That's what the Romans was the only one to capture them. Napoleon couldn't capture them. Hitler couldn't capture them. Because again, we had wars where you know they lost on purpose. The British were defeated at Dunkirk. That's all I got to say about World War II. The British were defeated, and they had panzers on their ass. And you telling me you couldn't go in there and kill? I think it was 300,000 people they had stopped there. And they tell you that these little boats came and just saved 400,000 people. That's what they want to tell you when they stopped and let them get away. When they could have went in there and killed them all or made them all prisoners of war. And as I said before, you know, the campaign in Moscow definitely made no sense. There's a thing in your life you should use, and there's a military tactic called strategic retreat. Strategic retreat. So sometimes you just got to back up. If you got to back up to go to your trunk to get your gun, sometimes you got to back up. And you telling me that you got 1 million men in Russia and you can't strategically retreat like his men asked him to do? Like, we need to back up. And you have to question, why didn't his men just say, fuck him and just back up? Well, we know that Hitler stopped sending the trains and stuff for them to get out of there. Cut them off. So not only are they cut off from their people, they're, you know, Russians is attacking them. We have 1 million people basically getting killed, tortured to death in Russia, a whole army group, which shows you that Hitler, again, you know, the Rothschilds paid money for both sides. We know, you know, the Autobahn was mostly built by the Fords and the Rothschilds. Rothschilds were German Huns people. And so we know that they gave money to both sides. And that's what every war is. World War I was the same way. Kingsmen show you all these families fighting each other. And again, what's the movie called about the killing of Archduke Ferdinand? What is it called over there? It's over there. Is it called Bosnia? But it's a movie where they kill Archduke Ferdinand. And like, it's funny how arrogant these people were. Again, if they miss killing me once, goddamn if I'm going back the same way. Because they missed killing him. They missed him and just like, you know, shot the car up and they missed him. And this motherfucker says, well, you know, fuck that. We're going to go back the same way. Matter of fact, the dude that was meant to kill him, he thought he missed him. So he went and started having a sandwich, having dinner. And he's like, wait a minute. These motherfuckers coming back and he got him and killed dude. Killed his wife and killed him. And again, all these war hawks wanted it done. All these war hawks wanted, I think the movie is called Bosnia. All these war hawks wanted it done. So again, we don't see a real war. We see an artificial war. That's why what's going on now to say, like right now, everybody hates Israel. So why would Iran not just sit back and wait? Because public opinion is against them people. So why would they do something to make people say, well, we need to be with Israel again? Why would the Iranians do that? That makes no sense because it shows you this is the Americans doing that. It is not the Israelis. It's not the Iranians doing this. Or if the Iranians doing it, it is agreement with the Americans. Because why kill the momentum going of people hating Israel and giving the Palestinians real rights? Why hate that? Why would they attack now? That makes no sense. When the world is against Palestine, why would they do something to make people say, hey, Palestine just got bombed. We need to be with them again. I mean, think of that. It doesn't make sense strategically. From a strategic point of view, that makes no sense. As a military point of view, that makes no sense. You ride out people hating them. Then you make moves on them. But right now, publicly, people are against them. Now watch what's going to happen. If all these bombs hit Israel, all of a sudden, everybody going to love Israel. When the opposite. They have never been more hated than right now because they've been exposed. Their non-humanism has been exposed. And that's what he's talking about. The ability of a people being mentally ill and have no humanism. What was done in Duluth, killing those three men was non-humans, non-humanism, a lack of having love for people. If one girl can just say we got raped without any real evidence, and then you just murder these people, and this, like he said, this wolf pack gathers. I mean, look at the guy that they tortured in Texas, where they put him over the fire and raised him and lowered him. One person. And you got 10,000 Euro-Asians cheering one person get murdered. Now, why would that be so exciting? Why would 10,000 people go see one person get tortured? Make that make sense. That young boy, they say 10,000 people watched him get tortured when they was lowering him and raising him over a fire. The dude was trying to climb up the chain, so they cut his hands off. So he couldn't climb up the chain to try to get away from some of that heat. Emmett Till. That if you don't think mental illness played a part in Emmett Till, that was a 14-year-old was 5'2", 5'3" at 14. Lack of humanism. But again, you have to look at how they wanted to control after Reconstruction. What was allowed? What Johnson allowed and all of them after them allowed. Because they knew they were low in numbers, so the only way they could take control is by intimidation and murder and kill. Murder, rape, and kill. And again, what did Reconstruction to say? You're free unless you're a prisoner. So what did they do? They started imprisoning people. That's the main thing you got to understand about Reconstruction is the amount of people that disappeared, that were worked to death, that went to prison and killed in prison. The numbers are staggering. Reconstruction was way worse than slavery. Way worse. Do you imagine what it's being like you 15 to 20? You can't walk from one place to the other unless you got a job on the plantation. If you're caught free and ain't got any money, you going to jail. This is the laws they put on the majority because they knew they could constantly take people, just like the prisons in Mississippi at first recently. These private prisons was built and Mississippi made a contract with these people and said, we are going to keep this prison populated. And what started happening? Crimes went down. So these motherfuckers done built these prisons. Ain't no prisoners in there because, again, people ain't doing crimes. The government's kind of stepping in and say, hey, you just can't put these motherfuckers in jail for nothing. Yeah, my wife asked me, did Michael Jordan invest in private prisons? Yes, he did. He invested in casinos and he invested in private prisons. Michael Jordan does not like melanated people. He does not like melanated people. He does not look at himself in the mirror. Again, when you get a certain amount of money, you become, again, look at a lot of the passports of these motherfuckers that come around the world. They put that they Euro-Asian. And that's the point that Michael Jordan is at. He's no longer a melanated person. He thinks like them. He lives like them, so he is them. He a Euro-Asian in a melanated body, as far as his thinking. So he's not one of us. I mean, what was his name that said, he had bought the jersey? What was his name? The guy that bought the jersey. It was an auction and he bought it. He paid like 15 grand to get a Michael Jordan jersey. And all he wanted to do is take a picture with him, get him to sign the jersey. That was it. What did he say? I ain't taking no picture with no niggas. But yeah, the guy, Plies. No, is that his name? Plies? No, I don't think his name was Plies. But again, this is this nigga's mentality. That's a white dude named Michael Jordan. Indeed. It really is. It really is. He is not one of us. I mean, that's why we don't even use terms as sold. Like, we don't call each other brothers anymore. What do we change? Dog. We went from calling each other brothers and sisters to dog. That's my dog. Why do you think this is in the movies? They don't want you to call each other brother and sister. They want you to call each other, that's my dog. That's my non-human. And like your children. And this goes into the fucking Baphomet. They don't want you to call your children children. They want you to give your children to Baal and call them kids. I mean, how many of you mentally think to call your children children? We don't have goats. We have children. But how many people of you out there listening to me call your children children? Yeah, I got a couple kids. They don't even let you humanize your children anymore. They want you to give your children to Baphomet and call them kids. That is exactly where that comes from. To call children kids is a Baphomet kind of thing. Baal. That's where that shit comes from. And what is society? All y'all listen, you call them kids. Yeah, I got some kids. Chameleonaire, that's what his name is. Right, Chameleonaire. He bought the jersey, but Jenica said Mike came to him and asked what Jordan Brand team did he need. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Chameleonaire, that's right. That's right. That's right. Jordan Brand items did he need? See? You see, yeah, chameleonaire, you know? So, and I've met Mike several times. I went to A&T with Larry. I know Larry better than I know Mike, but Larry's good people. Larry's good people. That's why I wonder with Mike selling the Hornets, I wonder what happened to Larry, because Larry was running wherever the Hornets play, the Hive or whatever it's called. Larry was the building manager, I think, of that place. He ran that place. So I wonder, what he's going to do now, what Larry's going to do now that Michael sold controlling interest. He didn't sell it all, but he sold controlling interest. And all this is a self-realization show. That's the basic thing, is a self-realization, self-love. We got to teach our women to love themselves again. Because right now, our women do not love themselves. They do not see themselves in the mirror. Because if a girl's hair is way back here, let me take my hat off. If a girl's hair start right back here, that girl's bald. I don't care what anybody says. Her shit start back here, that's a bald person. And bald, the shit be back here, ponytail here, baby hair way back here. And I looked at the European chick, and I mean, this is a European that live over there. This is a Euro-Asian that lives somewhere over there. She the same, she's bald from combing her hair and ponytail. That's another way women lose their hair, is putting their hairs in a ponytail. I got a good friend. His wife is a good friend, but she's done the same thing to herself. She combs her hair back and she puts it in a ponytail every day. She had an afro and her afro back here. So she quit wearing it and started back in the ponytail. But again, you can't comb your hair backwards. Like men, don't let them line you up. Because what you gonna see when you're in your 20s, they lining here. When you're in 30s, they right here. In your 40s is back here. Because you're taking a razor and killing your hairline. And I'm only saying this out of experience. Because, nigga, before I cut my hair, I go to a barber fucking once a week. I mean, every week. I was going to a barber just to get my head shaved. Some shit I could do myself. But I let him tighten up my beard and, just for the social thing. I'm seeing this nigga every week, giving him 10 to 15 bucks every week just to tighten my beard up and shave my head bald. And a barber will shave you bald. They'll shave you with a straight razor. I mean, if y'all know that, all barbers are taught that. So I don't know if y'all know that. The barber will shave you bald with a straight razor. They're all trained. That's part of the training. I don't know if people still remember that because people don't get it done. Because I remember the one, like I say, this is a dope house barbershop. It's a barbershop and a dope house and kind of a whorehouse at the same time. And it's funny, the person that would shave would be Sam, but I would get Denny to do it. Rest in soul. And Sam's probably dead too. But I just remember watching Sam do it. I'm like, and I asked him, like, can I get that done too, to get my hair bald? He's like, of course. He said, that's what you want? Would you rather me do that than zip, zip, zip? I'm like, yeah, can you do that? And he's like, of course. And he'd lather me up and, put the hot towel on me and all that shit. But you can still get that at barbers. But you have to have self-love. And that's why I say with the dress and the way you look, I mean, if you just go and looking any kind of way, I mean, you don't care about yourself. Like, do you really look in the mirror and see yourself? And that's what a lot of us don't. We don't even see some people can't even stand to look at themselves in the mirror. They hate themselves so much they can't even look at themselves. And like, think of women that just caked on the makeup, caked on the weave, and when all that shit is off and they look at themselves in the mirror, they hate themselves. With all the eyebrows out, the makeup off, and hair balding, women look in the mirror and they literally hate themselves. And it's not until they put on the costume, because this point it becomes a costume. They only feel good when they put on the costume. And that's a sick society. That's a sick society. And that's where we are. We are part of a sick society. I mean, Christianity came under the sword. Islam came under the sword. Hanukkah, there ain't no war with that. Mu, Hathor, ain't no war with that. Or Mu, the first thought. There's no war with that. This was just spiritual systems put in, and it's like, hey, you can tap into the world with this. But they want you to believe it's the Borgia, unbalanced, the Borgia. Again, we see that's a lie. And still, Christians still believe it. You can prove that that picture is a Borgia, and they still, well, that's okay. They just needed the picture. That's what they tell you. Well, that's okay. They the Florida Evans. You still got niggas that's Florida Evans. Despite the fact of what they show you that really Christianity is nothing but control. Christianity isn't spirituality. Islam is not spirituality. These are both religions. And what's his name? Raja Islam. He's a perfect example of a scammer who has scammed his whole life. And why now is Islam Masons? Islam are Masons. Islam are Scientologists. Why do you think? Because Islam was dying. The Nation of Islam was been dead. Now, again, I'm saying the wrong name, but it was Wallace D. Isn't that the son that took over? Elijah Muhammad, he gave the black Muslims to Fahad, what's his name? Wallace D, I think used to be. But that's who he gave the black, the Nation of Islam was not left to Farrakhan. Farrakhan was left with nothing. He was literally left with nothing. They changed over to Sunni Muslims. And I was part of that change because anybody tell you, when I was a freshman, my senior year in high school and my freshman year at college, I practiced Islam. I've been to Savior's Day in Chicago. I'm from Kalamazoo. Chicago, 2 hours away. All right? So it was nothing to go up there to the mosque in Chicago. You dig? It was nothing to go there. It was mosque in Kalamazoo. Matter of fact, it used to be old toy store that they turned in where I got some of my earliest toys. I remember that place. That place used to be a big ass toy store. And then later, when that place closed down, the Nation of Islam bought this store. And I don't even think it's there anymore. I think they tore that building down. And so the Nation of Islam it's a scam. It's a scam. I mean, even Marcus Garvey was a scam. He had $10 million, which is equal to almost $1 billion now. And they tell you he blew it and mismanaged it. He had poor management skills. But again, it was all a setup. And if you study, the Nation of Islam, he didn't do nothing but, what's his name? From the Moors. That was nothing but a copy of the Moors. They just changed the name, kept the costumes. What's his name? I'm looking at his picture in my mind. What's the Moor's name? The Barrister. His name was Barrister, was his real name. He was a magician. He was a magician. And he was the first in Chicago to said everybody be Moors. You had what's his name in Chicago? Or excuse me, New York. You had him and you had an African or Jamaican in New York making all that money and wearing all the costumes and shit. So you had this nigga in Chicago doing the same thing. You had Farad and Elijah Poole that was part of that organization first. Whoops. I mean, look this up. This is all easy to find. And that's all they did. They killed that brother, and then Farad and Elijah Poole took over. They took over that business that dude had, and they said, hey, let's call it Islam. Let's not be Moors. Let's call this Islam. They checked. Nobody else is using this. Let's use this. Now, was it positive? Hell yeah. It got a lot of people off of drugs. Got a lot of chicks not being hoes. Get your education. Eat right. That's one thing that Elijah Muhammad said years ago. Eat right. And that's one thing, even though he had ghostwriters, the energy was positive because eat right. And Muslims don't eat pork. I still eat very little pork. I couldn't tell you last time I ate a pork chop. I haven't ate a pork chop. Man, 10, not even, probably before then. Where the fuck would we live? Trying to get my years right. Maybe 12. Yeah, probably last time I had a pork chop was maybe 12, 11, 10. My daughter born. I'm trying to think. I used to buy the little thin ones Cutlets, they call them. I ain't never liked chitlins. I like pork shoulder. You know, I used to like pork shoulder, but that bacon, that was about it. Sausage. But like, and ribs. You know, I don't eat ribs anymore, you know. So I eat very little pork, very little. Again, on a sandwich. I get bacon on my sandwich. That's about the amount of pork I eat. But to say, you know, I eat a whole pork shoulder or something like that, very rarely. Very, very rarely. So, you know, it's like when you look at these things, it's all not all negative. That's my point. It's not all negative. You got to use your discernment. What can you use out of it? But a lot of this stuff is scamming. You know, that's what Turtle Gang was talking about today. That Islam dude is a scammer, been a scammer. And so everything you see is a scam. And this is the thing about agents. This is the thing about agents. Agents, you know, they the loudest. And that's why, you know, I don't want to pick on anybody, but that's why someone y'all watch and we watch, it was one group of 3 people and one was the loudest about having to kill people. And so from the very beginning, I ain't trust that dude. I'm like, this dude is one of them peoples. Now, I know I'm an ex-police officer. That guy's an ex-police officer. But the way he talked, his whole conversation was agent-like. Then we got others telling you it's okay to wear a dress. So I know I said I'd leave that alone, but that just gets me. Because the nigga was paid to say that. That ain't organic. Nigga ain't never talk about that. And all of a sudden, it's okay for you niggas to wear a dress. And when people look up to you and people think you got positive ideas, and then to take advantage of people and say, well, hey, niggas, you can wear dresses and there ain't no big deal. Again, we see how agents and motherfuckers get paid off to say certain things. It's called agenda. And that's just how people are. What is my agenda? I don't beg for money. You don't see, like in my notes, you'll see where you can cash at me, but you don't see that shit in this stream. You don't see me one time put anything and say, hey, here's my cash app. You look at some motherfucker stream constantly in there. Constantly in there. You don't never see Nick Taylor asking for money, do you? When do you see Nick Taylor putting cash app in his stream? Never. Because the nigga don't need it. And that's how I am. I appreciate when you do it, but I don't need it. I don't need it enough where I gotta cash app. And niggas have other people put that shit in there. It's like, hey, sweetie, can you put the cash app in there? I don't need that shit. Thank you, though. Hey, thank you for sending that to me. Blue Marvel 9. Thank you for sending that earlier. Blue Marvel 9, Big Pontiac. What's up? Thank you for sending that to me earlier. I appreciate that you sent that to me, the email. And this shit is on, but I fucking didn't get into it. Where is this? This is me. Oh, right here. Okay, nobody joined. Okay. I'm sorry I didn't bring, my knee fucking blew up on me today. I'm sorry I didn't get to get more done today. I mean, my knee literally just like swole up and I was like unprepared for my knee being injured today. So I text Awaken One. She can't do anything. She can't do anything until Monday. I don't normally come on Monday, but if she wants to do anything, I'll try to get her on. So, I'll try to get her on Monday, maybe. I don't fuck with Tuesdays because of Corey Holcomb and y'all that think you can go against Corey Holcomb when he got 10 to 15,000 and you get a couple hundred, that's competing against Corey Holcomb. Okay. Okay. I tend to not compete against that. He's getting the majority of melanated people that like entertainment. Corey Holcomb getting on Tuesdays. But I like the balls of you that think you can go up and you get your 100 or 200 and you look at him and he got 10 to 15,000. Okay, I guess if that makes you feel good fighting against that, go for it. Unless it's sports that I don't normally fuck with some of these days, especially Tuesday, because I enjoy Corey Holcomb. And he's not a smart brother, by no means. He's not intelligent. He's not smart. He's very impressionable. And he's a closet Muslim. He always talks about going to Savior's Day and stuff. He's not disciplined enough to do it every day. But he's disciplined enough to go to Savior's Day and give him bread. But he's not disciplined enough to be a practicing Muslim. But he's funny, clever, entertaining. All of them are entertaining. You know, I play Craig Fax. I OD. You know, I think we OD'd. I love that song. You know, so, but different strokes for different folks. Again, I ain't got no enemies. I just talk shit. You know, I know motherfuckers get upset. And I don't play this shit. Nah, I'm not gonna fuck with it. But you know, I guess a nigga get mad because you know I make fun of him.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I guess that make a nigga mad because I got that little. But fuck them. You know, that's the way I feel. Fuck them. It's what harm does that do? I had Nick Taylor when he was saying I like cats or whatever he said cats. But this world of entertainment is funny, isn't it? Because this is a lot of entertainment, but you can learn too, and that's where I am. I'm in a teaching phase. That's why I was showing that brother. Again, you know, he's a Pan-African, but it's not like his information isn't useful. It's very useful. Again, thank brother Blue Marvel 9 for sending that to me. I watched that while I was drinking my coffee this morning. Coffee comes from America. And you know, I was like, damn, this shit is powerful. I'd never seen this shit before. And it's not too much stuff I ain't came across. I was like, damn, I ain't never watched this before. So I loved it. And so, you know, we look at people and we know there's shortcuts and shortcomings. Shortcomings. People, you know, have shortcomings. And that's how we look at Corey. We know his shortcomings. He's not a very intelligent brother, but he's clever. And he can put life experiences and make it funny. And that's all we ask for. I'm going to see Ryan Davis Friday at the Mall of America Comedy Club. What's his name? Comedy Club. I can't think of his name. Well, let me see if I can look this up because I got the tickets too. Let me see. Let me see what this motherfucker's called. I think my wife sent it to me, so I got to think of what's the comedy club called. Okay, it's just House of Comedy. That's all. House of Comedy. I got the tickets here. House of Comedy, Ryan Davis. So I'm gonna go in that motherfucker clean. I'm gonna go in that motherfucker smelling good. And you know, looking fresh. I might take some pictures. Well, thank you, Blue Marvel. That is very kind of you. Guys do not need religion. Our path is the universe. I don't need super chats neither. It's about God business, not lodge business. That's a good way to put it. I'm gonna read that again. God do not need religion. Our path is the universe. I don't need super chats neither. It's about God business, not lodge business. And we know the niggas that's in the lodge. They try to, what did KRS one? I'm not a Mason, but I'm a Mason expert. Now that's saying you a Mason. Why did you study so much? If you know Mason business, more likely you a Mason. My brother is a 32nd degree Mason. There's no hiding that, but he learned. He's like, to be that 33rd, it was 10 grand. It went from it was a couple hundred, couple 300-400 to join. He got to the 32nd. The next step was 10 grand. Not knowledge. You had to pay 10 grand. And this was how old is we got married? Because we had a double wedding when we got married the first time. 90. What year was that? God damn, what year was that? 86. Yeah, we got married in 86. So you know, yeah, so my brother became a 33 degree Mason from in 87 or 88. It only took him a year or two to be the highest you could go without having to pay that 10 grand. Because his father-in-law was 32nd or 33rd degree. So you had to pay 10 grand. So I can imagine what you got to pay now to get that next step. To truly get the real information. Because again, a lot of Masons that just go to the 32nd or less, you only get so much information. You don't get all the information. And we know the dress and regalia, and I mean, they throw that gay shit in there. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. Y'all know it'd be some gay shit to get in it. So, just like fraternities and the boule, you know, the fraternities is nothing but a feeding ground for the boule. And I grew up around the boule. I grew up around, you know, the recruitment of the boule, and I look at these niggas now, and the boule is winning. Spiritually, they ain't winning, but they're winning. I look at these niggas that's all Kappas, and these niggas has been like, it's funny. It's like, what's funny about women? Women go to sororities after college. They join after, so they ain't got to do all that bullshit online and all that shit. And I know a ton of women that did that. They didn't do it while they was in college. They waited till they got done. Because when you get done, you don't have to do that stupid shit of being online. As a matter of fact, you know, the only time I thought to join us, because my coach was a Kappa, and they started talking to me and shit, and me and my boy, and we was like, shit, we can get out of practice, and we can get out of these goddamn meetings, and that was the only reason we tried to do it. And the coach was like, well, you can join, but you gotta, you still gotta come to practice. And this nigga's a Kappa. I thought he'd be like, yeah, go through. So he's like, fuck that. We wouldn't even go have to pay, because it costs to join the frats. It costs. Like these Euro Asians that have frat houses like they got here at the University of Minnesota, that shit ain't free. You gotta pay to join these motherfuckers. What we got? Grandis. Oh, I and baby girl Slaughter. Thank you for joining.
Got to have vision.
Oh, that shit's probably way too loud. Thank you for joining me. These cats told me it wasn't no gay shit to them. I said, yeah. I mean, just talk to the people. It's some weirdo stuff that you got to do. Walking this, I mean, it's like School Days shows you, especially with the frats. Remember, they take you to the bathroom and you think you doing shit. I mean, okay. Remember, I don't know if a lot of y'all watch Animal House with Kevin Bacon, but it's "Thank you, sir. Can I have another?" paddling in the back. So what that's a metaphor is being sodomized and the person agreeing to it. And so what it's showing you is when you hit them with the paddle, that's showing you're inserting your penis inside of them. And so they can't take it because, again, your butthole ain't really made for that. So they have to take it out. And the person says, thank you, do it again. That's the paddling. That's the metaphor for the paddling. You're actually sodomizing the person. And again, it goes to Kevin Bacon, thank you, can I have another? So that's the mental, the mental thing of trying to, so. Oshan, Ogun, Shanku, Amen, Moot, Tuhidi, Mayat, call me Kansu, aka Kansumi, Nefer, Hotop, mean the mighty one who travels in peace. My nickname is Hercules. That's deep. Sounds weird. I would stay clear. It was my age group, but they won't. Oh yeah. But see, that's why females, instead of females being embarrassed, I can't tell you how many. Like my mother-in-law and her sister. Now her sister might have joined at Western Michigan, but I know she didn't. She joined later, and her daughter joined later. And I see a lot of people doing this, joining later, so they ain't got to go through all that bullshit. But it does amaze me that, they wearing the little coats and shit. That amazes me. That really amazes me. Yep, School Days was a movie to tell people about the anal ritual and how to get in the game and play. I got Shango Ugan Ushan on speed dial. That's beautiful. That is very beautiful. Well, I guess I'm going into 3 hours. I wanted to get that work out there again. Blue Marvel, thank you for showing me that. Oh, definitely a cult. It becomes a cult. Again, my godmother's sister joined the Deltas in 72. So it's like she's been in this shit for 50 years. And they're doing hand signs. Where do you think hand signs come from? Hand signs is very Masonic. And yet you see frats doing hand signs. And you see the gang signs. Now, make this make sense. You see frats doing hand signs, which come from the Masons, but you see the gangs doing the same hand signs. Like the gangs were the first to do it. And you see the chicks doing this. You see some people do. I mean, it's just, or they do this. One of them do this. Some of them to give you the bloods. Is it the Qs that do the bloods? Is that who do somebody? Some of them do this. I mean, it's the same. How is fraternity signs, gang signs, and Mason signs all the same? Make that make sense. So it shows you that the early leadership of these gangs, be it Chicago, LA, and across the nation, was Masons. Like Turtle Gang talked about Larry Hoover. Let me get this. PNN Nation breaks down that Larry Hoover wasn't a real Chicagoan. He appears to be a plant. Larry Hoover appears to be a plant. Remember, he was in Evansville? Remember, he was in Evansville selling cocaine left and right? And then finally they put him in the Supermax because when he was in Evansville, he was running shit, still selling. Remember what was with Larry Hoover? Every Tuesday, all the crack by all his gang. All the disciples had to one day give all the money to Larry Hoover. Y'all remember that? They got Larry Hoover on tape. They say every Tuesday, all the bread that the gang gets got to come to him. Do y'all remember that? So we know Larry Hoover was a plant. Larry Hoover wasn't natural to Chicago. He come from Alabama or somewhere. Just look up PNN Nation. I think that's right. Or is it People and F? PNF Nation. Look him up. He'll break down the real history of Chicago. Larry Hoover ain't a real Chicago nigga. He's planted in there. Not like Fred Hampton. We see Fred Hampton doing the grassroots with the NAACP, studying the Little Red Book, and truly understanding. But he ain't innocent either. Because we know that Fred Hampton was giving out grants. Look at the little bit of tape, and it's two dudes that say they want to start a credit union. Again, this is grant money. They're trying to get a grant, and the Black Panthers were giving grants. So how much anti-government could the Black Panthers be when they was getting grants? So do you see? That, it's not quite what they say it was. These niggas was getting government grants. And what do we see with Al Ripkins, Jeff Ford, when they go to Gary? What do we see? These niggas is getting government grants. Look it up. When the vice lords first go to Gary, look up if they getting government grants. And that shit's easy to find because it's all in the papers. It's like, oh, it's outrage. These guys are getting government grants. You know why they got government grants? Because the Panthers was getting government grants. That's the part they don't tell you. The Panthers was getting government grants. But yet the government's fighting the Panthers that they're giving grants to. Now make that make sense. They're attacking the Panthers that they give grants to. Make that make sense. So when you look at these things, you see. Again, thank you so much, Blue Marvel. My fellow moderators, you are gods and goddesses. That's a good point. And so, this is what the deep study shows you, that you can't trust these people. And like I've said before, I met Jesse Jackson as a young boy. And, like my partner, and, I went to college with, it's funny, he chose the Jesse Jackson scam thing. This nigga had I don't know what part of Harlem, but this nigga had a church in Harlem and stole a bunch of money from the church, scammed his wife, scammed her family, and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars. He followed Jesse Jackson. And Jesse Jackson wasn't even his real name. It's quacks like a duck. It looks like it. Exactly. So that's trying to really understand what these things are and not be bamboozled just by the glamour. Again, how you going to attack a group you giving grants to? That's what the government don't want to tell you, but you just study them, you see that all of them was getting grants. Bobby Seale, and I've said this before, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale were both agents. You got light skin, dark skin. Light skin, dark skin. And the light skin was in charge. And what did they do with Huey Newton? He was such an agent, and it was so hard to cover him that they had to put him in jail because people was about to find out that Newton was an agent. And so they concocted the shooting, and the shooting made no sense the way they took him off the street, because they only took him off the street because people were starting to wonder. And again, if you don't think they set up people, look at when they took the Capitol, which is an act of war. And what happens after they do that? The Nixon puts the war on drugs, which was really the war on melanated people. It wasn't the war on these Euro-Asians bringing in the drugs, the mafia, and all these people bringing. It was the war on us. And then you got the 80s of Bill Clinton. And the president now. He said he didn't give a fuck if you was poor. He didn't care about your social economical situation. You need to be locked up. You don't need any rehabilitation. You need to be locked up. That's Biden. And that's what I don't understand about all these people that vote for Biden. He helped that crime act. That's really why Hillary lost, was the crime act. They couldn't get away from it. But yet you people forget about Biden. And, you know, Trump ain't any better. They're all part of the system. They ain't no better. Ain't like Trump is any better. Because this is what they give you every time. What do everybody say? The greater of two evils. How does that every election? Well, I don't want to vote for Hillary, so I'll vote for Trump. Well, I don't want to vote for Trump, so I'll vote for Biden. How many elections is going to be the greater of two evils? And that's what I hear from a lot of these liberals is, well, you know, Trump wants to be a dictator. What president has been a dictator? Tell me how he would go about doing that. Tell me how he would go about being a dictator. How is this motherfucker, okay, he gets elected and all of a sudden I'm King Trump. Suspend habeas corpus, suspend everything, and it's just me, I'm the king. How's that gonna work? Do you really think that the IRS is the Fed is gonna let that go? Because again, remember, he did fuck with the Fed when he was in there before. He kind of put some screws to the Feds. So he did do that. It's always been about us, the extinct theory. Well, yeah. I mean, and that goes back to, you know, diet, lifestyle, self-love. And we seem like we're a people that don't love ourselves. I mean, we got all these stories about people cheating. You know, we got the stories about a woman stealing from her husband because she said, well, if we break up, I need some bread. I mean, nothing to say that, you know, just being solid. Can none of my exes say I ever stole from them? Now, I have one ex and she was a drug addict. She didn't really steal from me. I think she sold my FUBU shirt for crack. I think that's the worst I could say about her. She didn't take my Jordans, which I was surprised because she'd have got more money. She didn't sell my Jordans. She sold my FUBU shirt. Think she got her a 10 or whatever from my FUBU shirt. And that's a fact. She can't deny that. She didn't sell my Jordans. From then on, I put my Jordans in my trunk. I was like, oh, I can't trust this bitch. But again, you know, she suffered through so much and that's what people don't understand. You know, addiction sometimes comes from suffering. And she's a prime example of that. She suffered so much that she needed something to take all that pain away. And crack did it for her. And I understand that. She went through a lot of suffering. When I met her, she was a broken person when I met her. And it's funny, you know, when you meet someone and you fall in love with someone, you know, you don't think that you got to half raise the person and you have to fight all their demons. And some of those demons is carried on to you because they have so many demons. And that was a point where I really wasn't where I'm at today. You know, I really mentally wasn't where I needed to be. Still very selfish. And so I didn't heal her enough. You know, I harmed her some ways too. And so we come, you know, as we look back and we say, you know, I was sorry I did that. I'm sorry I wasn't more mature. I'm sorry, because that's what happens. It's like lack of maturity, lack of understanding. So, damn, FUBU for crack. Exactly. You remember the shirts the FUBU had like a number 5. Seemed like all of them was 05. And y'all remember it was the 05 yellow one. Yellow with the blue. Remember that FUBU where it was 05 yellow? That's what she sold. True. Or running away from something internally, comes back to shadow work. Yep, you have to battle demons. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it was, you know, our story is complex and it's like I had to get her the fuck away from them people, you know, and that's the reality. But, you know, I still hadn't settled myself and I still wasn't mature as I should have been. As again, I said, I dealt with 3 people for 10 years. I had my ex-wife. Well, I guess my second wife, she became my second wife, and then my oldest daughter's mom. It was like I had them 3 women for 10 years. Like the 2 met one time. It's like funny when women meet, and it's like, we need to leave him alone. They looked at each other and said, well, I won't mess with him no more. And the one I'm living with definitely can't say that. She's like, okay, well, you're not going to mess with him anymore. I mean, these chicks sat there. She's like, I think this was before my son was born. She's like, well, I'm not going to mess with him anymore. And then I was living with I think my first wife, and just like, okay, well, if you're not gonna mess with him anymore, me and him are together. So how long you think that lasts? And these chicks is face to face. But in small towns, you know, it's that stupid shit. It's like Battle Creek is a town of 50,000 people. It is like one girl put there. It's like it's just a reincarnation of people. You know, it's like everybody talking to everybody. That's kind of how small towns work out. Everybody's talking to everybody. It's just like you recycle people. You know, that's kind of what it is. It's like, oh, you ain't with nobody right now. We need to get together. But you used to be with so and so. You know, these stories go continuously. Oh, you had a gray and what'd you say? You had a gray and blue one. Yeah, it's '05. Remember that shit had '05. For us, by us. That FUBU shit had us all food. That's some cheap ass shit. You know, jerseys get us every time. FUBU pants. I'll tell you though, the FUBU Fat Albert stuff was nice, but they cheapened it. They really cheapened it. But that stuff was kind of nice. Fat Albert on the clothes. Those were nice. I wasn't wearing that shit by the time they put the Fat Albert on it. I quit wearing that shit. But it was still clever. I thought that putting the Fat Albert on the clothes was clever. It was showing the cartoons that represent us, you know. So that's all. So that was kind of a clever little thing, I thought. Well, I'm at the 3-hour mark. I need to go. I got a few stuff to do. I hope my knee stays unswollen. I don't know what the fuck my knee did today. I walked downstairs, could barely walk. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? And we didn't really do a whole lot yesterday, you know, but I don't know. My knee just swole up this morning, and so everything I had planned, I wasn't able to do. I had to hang around the house. The Harlem Globetrotter shit was dope too. Yes, it was. And y'all showed me, you know, I showed y'all. My daughter has my Curly Neal top and bottom. I got the whites. The whites really look nice. And I'll wear Curly Neal shit in a minute because Curly Neal was a good man. You know, I personally knew Curly Neal, so he was a good man. I wouldn't wear that Meadowlark Lemon shit because fuck Meadowlark Lemon, but Curly was cool. I've been doing that all day. I've been icing it down all day. I don't know, because they just told me I got kind of like spurs in my knee, because I really thought my knee was needed to be scoped again. That's the way it felt. That's the way it feels, like I need it scoped again. But they was just saying that I have spurs, and they didn't talk about removing the spurs. Yeah, my knee. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I've been doing that all day. And for a while it felt better, but then when I walked up, like it actually felt better the 3 or 4 times I came up. But then when I came up to do this, my shit was hurting again. So I'm not quite sure. And that's kind of my hesitation to playing pickleball. It's like I bought another brace, but we'll see how that works. Tomorrow, no, I won't be on tomorrow. I'm a sleep in. Nothing going on anyway. Depends on how good the Timberwolves game is. If the Timberwolves is a decent game, I might come talk about, but doubtful. So let's shoot for Monday, because Awaken One says she'll join me on Monday. And if any of you want to, get on the Discord or Core Discord, I think it's called. If you want to join in, just let me know. My email again is easy. I think it's in the notes, but it's eaglerthebomb@gmail. So if anyone wants to get on the Discord, gonna try to get it going on Monday. You can always join it when I'm going live. I just turned it off. So, well, thank you. I appreciate the donations, MacBone or Blue Angel, Blue Marvel 9. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for sending me that email. I appreciate it. That's why I had to throw it out there, because it's really valuable. I hope you appreciate what the brother's saying. Again, it's from an African-centric point of view, but that doesn't mean the information is not useful. The information is very useful. Again, I don't hate anybody. So it doesn't come. I'm not showing this information from hate. But again, it's the hate that hate produced. And that's what CBS called when they showed and talked about Malcolm. It's the hate that hate produced. Well, thank you. And so I'm going to plant you now and dig you later. Till we meet again, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you, MacBone. You always do too much, and I appreciate it. I'm not again.